Inside the hotel room, a wardrobe door swings open with a neat clack as Yuyan retrieves a suit. The meeting will be held over video conference. All right, by the way, why is Mr. Lee on standby? You should have told us if you were sick. Junil sits on the edge of the bed coughing lightly before muttering, you know I'm very irritable when I'm sick. And Mr. Lee is your backup. He's not the one in charge. Yuyan processes this with visible disbelief, thinking that completely goes against the warning orders. Her mind spins further. Choi Junil always listens to his father. Why wouldn't he do so now? Did he finally lose his mind? I'm not your full-time secretary anymore. And this is very uncomfortable for me. If you keep this up, I'll consider moving to a new job. Junil raises a brow and scoffs, ha, a new job? She answers evenly, yes. I was offered a great opportunity. He stares back skeptically and asks, you? You think they'll fall for that? I know about the deal you made with my father. She adds with biting calm, you know, I don't have to keep my part of the deal if my mother doesn't wake up. It looks like you haven't even thought of that. Yet internally she sighs, admitting to herself, even though I say this, I know I can't leave. My mother's treatment is on the line. So please, stop irritating me. Behind her, Junil rises abruptly and calls, Jo Yuyan. Suddenly she pauses, eyes widening as a strange realization hits her. Huh? I don't sense the monster anymore. Her thoughts halt mid-stride as his voice calls again, Jo Yuyan. Before she can move, Junil lunges forward and grabs her from behind, pulling her back into his chest while whispering fiercely, don't go. Her patience explodes. Enough of this, she shouts, pushing him back, clearly done tolerating his nonsense. But Junil snaps back just as fiercely. With a violent slam, he pins her against the wall, glaring down at her as he demands, you still like me, so why do you pretend to hate me? She sputters in shock, what? His voice lowers dangerously as he adds, I had to get married for the company. I didn't have a choice. But you know that too, don't you? Her eyes twitch with anger and disbelief as pounding echoes through the door, bang. 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 The sudden noise breaks the moment. She shoves him away, creating just enough distance to breathe again. She rushes to the door and swings it open saying hurriedly, I'm sorry, Director Choi is, but the words die in her throat. Her eyes go wide, completely startled by who is standing there. The prince smiles with unsettling calm, Your Highness. He offers a smooth apology, I'm sorry for interrupting you. There's something I'm looking for in here. Then he casually strides inside. She stares at him, confused and breathless, managing only a hesitant, what are you? He walks up to a random photo on the wall and taps on it. Here it is. Jo Yuyan flinches in confusion, but that's not the painting. I have to tell him there's no monster in that painting. But he'll know about my eyes if I say that. Prince Gian stops before the painting and addresses her calmly, Ms. Jo Yuyan. A voluntary Cinderella? A victim enduring endless unfair abuse of power? Or a lover who still has some hope to unite with the man in this room? Which one are you? Before the tension can settle, Junil moves forward with a protective step, positioning himself beside her and snapping, what are you doing to my secretary? Yuyan instantly blushes at the sudden defense, while Prince Gian remains perfectly calm. Junil states politely, Your Highness, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Choi Junil, the director of Siola Pharmaceuticals. The prince greets him with a faint smile, adding casually, Li Gian. Prince Gian immediately shuts down any polite formalities. I don't have any interest in you, Mr. Choi. I'm here because I desperately need Miss Jo right now. Will that be enough of an explanation for you? Junil bristles, beginning to protest, what are you? But Yuyin quickly cuts in, trying to defuse the situation before it explodes again. She urges him firmly, you need to get ready for the meeting. You should get dressed properly. I'll have warm water ready for you. You heard that, right, Mr. Lee? The poor man startles and stammers, why, yes. He's too flustered to go inside. General commands sharply, return to your work when you're done with His Highness. Your job performance has been very unsatisfactory lately, Ms. Zhou. Yuyin bows slightly despite the sting and answers simply, I apologize. As the room clears, Yuyin quietly approaches Prince Gian and lowers her voice. That painting is a printed copy. I can help you if you're looking for the original. She reaches out and lightly steadies herself against him. He pauses, staring down at the hand resting against his chest while she flinches, suddenly aware of the closeness. He gently places his hand over hers with a casual pat and asks softly, you're even helping me walk? How did you know I was injured? She jolts in surprise and blurts out, you're hurt? He shrugs lightly as they begin walking side by side and replies, I'm not sure where I'm injured, though. Then he glances down at her with faint amusement as she suggests, shouldn't you get checked at the hospital? Before she can respond, Chief Li bursts into the room calling, Your Highness, and announces urgently, we found the painting. Yuyin's eyes sharpen with recognition as she thinks, that's the right painting. Then a sly realization crosses her mind, if they found it, why is Li Jian here? The door closes as he addresses her once more, Ms. Zhou. Walking beside her, Prince Gian suddenly admits something unexpected, to be honest, I was worried. Zhou Yuyin blinks in confusion as he continues calmly, I don't know if I have a right to be angry, but I was. Because a strange man was yanking you by the hand. And you seemed so helpless when he pulled you. Her entire face explodes in red as she panics, what on earth is he saying? Flustered beyond recovery, she quickly turns away and mutters through her hand, please stop it. Prince Gian tilts his head slightly with a mischievous grin, feigning innocence as he asks, stop what? Yuyin internally groans, oh, for God's sake. She starts walking faster, warning him, if I hear any more of this, I might be in trouble. I don't want to listen to you anymore. I need to run away. Prince Gian easily keeps pace, holding her hand as he observes casually, you seem to know what I'm going to say. Yuyin's heart pounds uncontrollably, badum, badum as she silently begs herself, stop it, please, no more. Suddenly her phone rings, ding, and both of them glance down at the screen. A message pops up addressed to her, Dear Ms. Zhou Yuyin, you are invited to Jianbok Palace tomorrow at 1 p.m. He reads it calmly and remarks, looks like the royal court is making their move. We should get going now. I'll take you to your company. Yuyin jolts upright in alarm, blurting, oh, the meeting. I'll be fine. I need to go now. She bolts away down the hall, heart still racing as she thinks in panic, he almost got me. Then she scowls to herself, muttering, that sly fox. Meanwhile, Prince Gian watches her go with a faintly amused expression that practically screams what did I do? Elsewhere, another phone buzzes with a notification about the same royal invitation. Siola reads the message carefully, her eyes sharpening with curiosity, and perhaps calculation, as the political game around the palace quietly begins to unfold. Siola shows her phone message to an employee, do you know what this means? I don't know Chinese characters that well. The staff replies, it says that you're expected at 1 tomorrow. But why would you be invited to Jianbok Palace? Then, with a confident hair toss, she answers smugly, didn't you know? I'm a princess candidate. The employee suddenly lights up with gossip-fueled excitement and blurts, oh. Then are you the one who Prince Gian gave his cap to in Hongdae? The woman freezes, baffled. What? That wasn't me. Her expression hardens into a chilling glare as she scolds, "You don't even recognize the face of a VIP? Is that how they teach employees here?" The poor employee immediately goes pale, stumbling over her words. Then she tries to laugh it off nervously while insisting, "Oh, I was mistaken. But you're so much more beautiful than that woman." "I do think it was strange. If that's true, why would Prince Gian forget your face?" Siola reluctantly agrees to let go of the subject. "Well, I'll let you choose something. Not too fancy, but something nice. I'll take both bags." She hands over her card and asks thoughtfully, "And what do you recommend as a gift for a man?" The employee hesitates and asks carefully, "Do you mean for Prince Gian?" With calm pride, Siola clarifies, "It won't hurt to take a gift to the palace tomorrow. Last time I saw him, he was wearing a necktie from a brand I didn't recognize." The employee's heart pounds while thinking nervously, a world-class pianist, and a famous celebrity. Plus a VIP who could become the crown princess in the future. And she could convince the prince to wear our brand. The employee gestures politely toward the exit, saying, "This way, please." They walk outside as Siola's thoughts drift uneasily. "I thought something was strange after she came back from the palace." In a quiet flashback, Siola asks Zhou Yuyan what happened after meeting the prince. Yuyan simply replied calmly, "Nothing happened." But that's all she would tell me. The prince is interested in Zhou Yuyan. Zhou Yuyan is different from me. She's pretty smart and nice. I know that too. She's different from me. But jealousy quickly twists that admission into venom. A harsh thought bursts forward, "She's like a weed that grows even bigger the more I stomp on it." Idiot. She doesn't know anything. She can't even do anything on her own. All she knows how to do is seduce my brother. Everything that was mine was taken from me. She takes everything from me. Zhou Yuyan gets her hands on everything that I want, the employee calls out, "Miss Choi." She jolts, snapped back to reality inside the boutique. "I'll help you with the payment now." Siola instructs briskly, "Wrap the necktie separately." A moment later she raises her phone and asks the person on the line, "Where are you?" The reply comes through, "The parking lot." "Should I bring the car outside if you're done shopping?" Siola continues the call with calculated sweetness, "Are you craving anything? Let's eat something before we go back." "I'm buying. I probably won't see you for a while since I'm going to the palace tomorrow. Or we could order room service at a hotel." The staff behind the counter exchange awkward glances. The replies come through, "Oh, sounds good. I'll make a reservation now." Meanwhile, the employee approaches carrying the neatly wrapped gift and turns toward her. Siola casually grabs the elegant box while still chatting on the phone, eyes gleaming with quiet satisfaction. Then she raises a finger to her lips with a sly shush, as if savoring the secret she's just set into motion. Elsewhere, the investigation continues. Chief Lee explains carefully, "The company running this exhibition is well known around the world. Normally, an exhibition would take at least a year on the waiting list. But we got lucky, and we waited only 4 months for this. The RSA and Customs Department check all artwork that is brought into Korea. No artwork can enter Korea without proper approval. The hotel proceeded with the exhibition because of the RSA approval stamp. So, how did an Ima hide among them?" Prince Gian states, "The artwork was swapped. The painting with the Ima isn't on this list." Chief Lee answers quickly, "I'll contact the company's representative." The prince adds another order, "Write and notify them that Yewo will be collecting the paintings." He murmurs thoughtfully, "An Ima that wasn't in the records appeared, and it even had intelligence. We desperately need the sacred eye from now on." The prince stands and declares decisively, "Let's go now." Chief Li responds immediately, "Yes, Your Highness." As they move out, the prince adds with quiet determination, "With the sacred eye, we can catch them before they materialize." The prince walks calmly out of the elevator when Siola screams enthusiastically, "Your Highness." Suddenly chaos erupts as Siola shrieks Kaya, "Your Highness," and comes dashing straight toward him, hearts practically exploding around her like fireworks. The prince looks petrified. He immediately orders, "Stop her." But it's already too late. She jumps forward wanting to latch onto him in a dramatic tackle hug. The prince freezes stiffly, clearly shivering as Song Jaeki attempts to pull her back. Meanwhile, Chief Li scrambles into crisis management mode, talking rapidly into his phone. Photos of Miss Choi Siola hugging His Highness will likely appear now. Make sure to delete them quickly. Chief Li glances back thoughtfully, thinking, "We met both princess candidates at one place. She should have the sacred eye. If she was here earlier, we would have found the Imai before it materialized." The prince remarks, "Lady Sio sent a message. We'll know who is lying after the first trial." Chief Li adds another reminder, "Before that, you must meet with His Majesty. I'll take you to Gangnyeongjeon Hall." Inside the car, the prince asks, "Is he going to introduce me to my cousin? This will be awkward." Chief Li answers, "That was what I was ordered, but I'll take you to the doctor first." Then he immediately lights up with enthusiasm and says proudly, "Your body is a national treasure, you know." The prince replies flatly, "Well, thanks." The car pulls away with a smooth vroom down the road. During the meet-up, the prince reports, "An Ima that was never seen before, and one with intelligence? But don't worry." The king smiles brightly and says with clear satisfaction, "Oh well, this is perfect. Tae can help us. He's the son of Prince Wijin, my brother Song." The prince narrows his eyes slightly and asks cautiously, "Are you sure? Impersonation of royalty is a crime because there are so many people who commit it." The king calmly responds, "Tae has the same power as Prince Wijin. He can smell the Imai and recognize the sacred eye. There's no better proof than that." The prince's eyes sharpen as he thinks, the Book of Exorcism did mention eyes that can recognize the sacred eye, but that information could have been leaked. Tae simply smiles calmly and explains, "That's why you allowed me to use the seal and approve the exhibition. I'll gladly offer my help with my eyes and nose. It's the least I could do." Prince Gian immediately focuses on the implication and asks sharply, "The exhibition?" while the king adds with a pleased smile, "He's our ally, Gian. And I plan to appoint him as an official. Do you oppose?" Prince Gian with sharp suspicion, challenging the plan as he asks, "So, you're willing to create another royal party?" The king immediately shuts the argument down with calm authority, declaring firmly, "This is not the time we are around our royal authority." Prince Jian's patience snaps and he fires back in frustration, "But you didn't discuss any of this with me. Both the RSA and Yewa are under my jurisdiction. Yet you approve an exhibition within the palace walls without discussing it with me?" The king finally thunders back his name with a furious "LWW Gian" that echoes across the room. The room falls tense as Li Jian stiffens, then slowly rises to his feet and turns away with controlled restraint, saying quietly, "I should leave." He walks toward the door while adding coldly, "There's nothing I can do about an exhibition that's already been approved. But I will not accept his help with the royal audition. I apologize. I'm very petty and have a lot of doubts. I don't want you interfering with the royal court." The door slams shut behind him, leaving the king exhaling softly, "Ha," while Li Jian straightens his tie outside and declares to his team with sharp resolve, "I'm going to check the Book of Exorcism." A blurry image of a boy watches with a faint, mysterious smile as the sound of the door crashes shut in the distance, the tension hanging thick in the air like smoke. Zhou Yuyan wakes slowly and sits up on the bed looking groggy and confused. She rubs her face with a towel and mutters to herself in frustration, "I don't understand what that dream was about." Suddenly Siola rushes in shouting, Yuyan. She practically dashes across the room while raising her phone excitedly. Yuyan asks, "Why are you up at this hour?" Siola thrusts the phone forward and shouts eagerly, "Look, look." On the screen is a viral post showing Gian and candidate Choi Siola in an intimate-looking moment. The caption reads, Prince Gian and candidate Choi Siola sighted on a date at the hotel lobby. The comments explode with speculation. Is she the Hongdae hat girl? And probably? Are they already dating? Ha ha ha. Siola grins proudly while explaining, I met the prince in private yesterday. Didn't you see the articles? Yuyan blinks in confusion and asks, what articles? Siola shrugs casually and replies, you must have missed them. They deleted them pretty quickly. I guess they don't want a scandal. Yuyan asks, so, things are going well with His Highness? I mean, do you still need my help if you can see him in private now? Judging by the photo, I think I can give up on the audition now. Siola freezes and stutters, wait, hold on. I mean, the audition is another matter, isn't it? Yuyan presses, then what? I have to keep helping you? Siola stutters, of course. Of course you need to help me, then she runs off. Yuyan watches Siola rush off and sighs quietly to herself while thinking she'd probably met him by chance and intentionally jumped on him to get a photo. She's so obvious. Her thoughts drift uneasily to the prince as she remembers his behavior and murmurs internally, and he was so persistent when he was hitting on me. He kept talking about the past that I don't even remember. Could it be that he found out that I could see monsters in high school, during the time that I don't remember? Is that why Gian knows about my eyes? Later, now dressed for work. Mr. Choi orders, Yun. You go to the hotel and get the rector Choi instead of going to work. Yuyan stiffens in surprise and blurts anxiously, but how can I persuade him? You should send his bodyguards to. Mr. Choi cuts her off with a thunderous yell, because he only listens to you. That fool, after he found out what I sent you to the palace, he left home and apparently left his brain too. Yuyan frowns but insists quietly, but I have to go to the palace today. Mr. Choi shuts that down immediately, you don't need to. I'll call you if I need you. Besides, isn't it better if you lose those points? Yuyan blinks in confusion and asks, what? He folds his arms and adds coldly, what's the point of appealing to the palace? The first trial is a test of family background, education, etiquette, and more. Your eyes are not needed there. Yuyan falls silent, absorbing the words. After a moment, she bows politely and says calmly, I understand. Then, I'd like to see my mom for a moment. I heard she showed some progress. Can I get an appointment with the hospital director? Mr. Choi agrees, fine, I'll make a call. I hear that you've been very close with the prince lately. Yuyan tries to appease Mr. Choi, and a picture was taken of Siola and the prince yesterday. You didn't see it? They were hugging each other. She seems to be very close with him. His mood immediately lit up, is that so? She replies, yes. Anyway, I'll go and find the directors in the afternoon. Siola bursts down the staircase in a flowing pink hanbok with a dramatic dash, announcing brightly, let's go. I'm going to be late to the salon. She grabs her father's arm affectionately while he beams proudly and praises her, you look beautiful today, princess. Siola giggles smugly, thinking, I know, I'm so pretty. Meanwhile Yuyan watches from a distance, quietly reflecting to herself, I'm just like Cinderella, huh? Her phone suddenly chimes with a ding, and she glances down to read the message on the screen, I'll see you at the palace in 4 hours. This is an unknown number, but I can tell who it is. She sends a short reply that reads, I can't go. A second message appears asking, are you sick? And she answers dryly, no, I'm busy. Another reply pops up insisting, "I'll pick you up." Yuyan slips the phone back into her bag, doubling down with the message, "I can't go, Your Highness." Meanwhile elsewhere, the prince reads the text silently, his expression tightening slightly as he stares at the screen. A meeting unfolds as an aide presents a report in front of a screen and explains, "We contacted the representative of the A team that planned the hotel exhibition. A piece of art was damaged while preparing for the exhibition, and they had to find a replacement in a short amount of time. This painting was chosen since it was the only certified artwork available." The prince listens carefully from his seat and asks sharply, "Was the certification fake?" The answer comes back immediately, "It seems like it." The prince nods slowly and murmurs, "I see." His mind keeps turning as he concludes, the Ima that appeared recently all had intelligence. They definitely had a goal. The Ima with destructive urges are dangerous. The staff around the table nod repeatedly as he commands, "We need to send our surveillance and increase RSA personnel. Dispatch a patrol group in each area." Everyone rises together in acknowledgement, replying, "Yes, Your Highness." The meeting ends while the prince leans back, thinking through the puzzle. A well-known classic work of art was replaced with a painting like that? This doesn't make sense. Chief Li leans closer with concern and says quietly, "And the Imai in that painting wanted to kill an Imai if it had received orders to do so." "Your Highness, are you not feeling well? You usually leave before all the employees." The prince changes the subject, asking, "Zhou Yuyan's mother has been hospitalized at Siola Hospital for 13 years. What do you think?" Chief Li freezes, memories flooding in, images of a devastating car crash, a wrecked vehicle, and a woman bleeding on the road. He mutters in realization, 13 years, that's exactly the time of that accident. Then, why can't she remember? The prince answers calmly, "Perhaps it's just a coincidence and she actually is a different person." Chief Li reasons, "There's no reason for Ms. Zhou to hide or lie about having the sacred eye." Finally the prince stands up, turning toward the door as he asks, "Where is Li Te right now?" At Gyeongbok Palace, Siola stands frozen beneath the palace gates, her eyes wide as she gulps nervously, clearly overwhelmed by the situation she has just stepped into. Outside the palace entrance, she stares ahead in confusion while her father angrily talks on the phone behind her, demanding what is the meaning of this. She can only blink in disbelief and think quietly, "What? Are they all candidates too?" Other women arrive for the audition, they are in elegant dresses and confident posture of the candidates. Her father gently pats her shoulder while she trembles with nerves and reassures her, "Daddy has everything taken care of. Don't worry and just go in there." Still gulping anxiously, she hesitates for a second before suddenly running toward the entrance. Standing among the candidates, Siola quietly taps out a message on her phone saying, "Zhou Yuyan. Come to the palace, now. And bring me my medicine." Nearby palace attendants whisper among themselves as one states coldly, "A candidate who misses the audition should not be considered." Another voice counters cautiously, "Perhaps she has an unavoidable reason. I'll send someone to find out." The skeptical Lady Sio scoffs and concludes, "Fine, though I doubt that's the case. That must be her, the one that His Majesty is rooting for." With a dismissive humph, she adds bitterly, "She may seem glamorous on the outside, but she's an empty shell. I'm sure His Highness will understand when he sees her." This audition is a flop. The queen ignored her responsibilities and selfishly left the palace. And many had to suffer because of that. If we can't find someone with the sacred eye, we have to at least choose someone who can properly carry out her duties as the princess. The gossip intensifies as someone whispers, "I heard that she has the sacred eye." Lady Sio immediately rejects the rumor, replying sharply, "That can't be, someone with the sacred eye wouldn't be that unstable." The surrounding crowd erupts into chatter as speculation spreads. Elsewhere in the palace courtyard, the prince turns his head and the women nearby think excitedly, His Highness must be curious. From the garden, someone suddenly announces, "Oh, it's the prince." The prince scans the candidates and thinks, she's not there. Lady Siola yells dramatically, "This is a test of your patience. You must have the power to endure even time." His appearance turns the courtyard into a chaos of fluttering hearts as girls whisper, "The prince, and he's so handsome," while someone practically melts with dribble. Amid the commotion, Lady Siola's stern voice cuts through the fanfare with, "If you're not confident, you may leave." Focus! Meanwhile, far from the glamorous chaos, Yuan trudges through the palace corridors, staring around at unfamiliar halls while thinking miserably, "I only wanted to deliver Siola's medication." She sighs in defeat and admits to herself, "And now I'm lost. But if I ask someone for directions, it'll look like I actually came to the first audition, only to leave right away. This is bad. I just want to give her the medicine." Before she can react, a hand grabs her and violently pulls her back with a dramatic yank, sending her stumbling in shock as the door slams shut behind them. She squeaks in alarm, "Eek," but a calm voice hushes her immediately with shook. The prince holds her tightly against him inside the quiet room, looking down with amused curiosity as he remarks, "I thought you were too busy to participate in the first audition. I'll be very disappointed if you're not here to see me." Flustered and wide-eyed, she stammers, "Your Highness," while he calmly studies her and asks, "So, tell me. What happened? Don't you think I'm surprised to suddenly see you here?" Still confused, Yuan glances aside nervously and admits, "I'm sorry, I'm not sure where I am." The prince asks directly, "Why are you here? Do you still want to participate in the first audition?" Leaving her completely startled. She awkwardly explains the truth and hands over the bottle. "What is this?" She answers simply, "Siola's medication." Holding the bottle between them, he asks calmly, "You need to deliver this to Ms. Choi?" And she nods with yes. When he asks, "What happens after you deliver it?" she replies without hesitation, "I'll leave." His fingers tighten slightly as he tugs the bottle and asks, "And if you don't deliver it?" She replies, "Siola will be troubled." Then he adds with a hint of amusement, "And I'll be bored if you leave, Ms. Jo." Yuan blinks in utter confusion and asks carefully, "Then, what? Do you want me to play with you?" The prince chuckles softly as he replies, "You'll need a lot of energy to play with me." When she pushes back confidently, saying, "Don't underestimate me. I used to do cross-country," he asks, "Do you still run now?" She frowns and answers, "I go to an indoor gym or participate in city marathons sometimes." He lifts the medicine bottle thoughtfully and dismisses the topic with a cool, "That's not what I meant, but that's interesting." His gaze sharpens as he asks suddenly, "Panic disorder?" While examining the medication. Realizing what he's implying, she awkwardly explains, "Well, they say artists are sensitive. Everyone has a weakness. It's not like Siola is strange." The prince concludes simply, "But it's a symptom that one needs to hide to become a royal fiancé. I'll send someone to deliver this, so you stay here with me." She immediately protests in confusion, blurting, "With your Highness? Why? What about the audition?" But he glances back with a relaxed smile and replies, "I'm not supposed to interfere with the duties of the royal court. This place is perfect for a nap. By the way, what do you think?" As he walks ahead, Yuan sneaks a small glance around, internally blurting, "So pretty." He loosens his tie and casually explains, "This is the secondary palace. It's under the place where we almost had noodles together. You can look around." Inside, shelves filled with books catch her eye as he explains, "There are a lot of books on Western culture here." Laughing lightly, he adds, "Just because I'm the prince doesn't mean I only like traditional pansori and consider only the Gyeogeum as art." While wandering the room, Yuan glances at the shelves and quietly wonders, "I wonder what kind of person Gian is." Just then the door quietly slides open behind her as someone outside bows politely. Startled by the sound, clack, she freezes and thinks nervously, did someone just? Immediately she scolds herself, no. Be confident, Zhou Yuyin. And marches forward with determined stomp before collapsing onto the couch. The prince sits beside her, making her flinch as he casually reminds her, you said you were busy. So, why were you so busy? She hesitates, explaining, it's my mother. I got a call that she might wake up. And I've been looking at a few places to move in. Leaning on his hand, he studies her carefully and asks bluntly, so, you really have no intention to marry me? She replies firmly, no, I'm not going to become your fiancé. Then he asks another pointed question, and what's your relationship with Director Choi? To which she answers, he's my boss and I'm his subordinate, though we were closer than that in the past. She gathers her courage and admits, actually, I don't remember all of my past. I lost my memory on the day my father passed away. So, it's true that I attended Seoul Royal High School, but I don't know you, Your Highness. Resting his chin against his hand, the prince says calmly, you do know me, but you don't remember. When she asks nervously, what do I not remember, he leans in close and answers softly, the front of the art classroom, your first love, and our first kiss. Her eyes flutter in shock as he asks teasingly, does any of this ring a bell? Then he suddenly laughs and pulls back with a playful haha, saying, why are you so surprised? That was just a joke. Yet despite the words, she leans in, closing the distance and initiates a kiss. Without warning, Yuyin suddenly grabs his face and kisses him full on the lips, leaving the prince completely stunned as his eyes widen in pure disbelief. When they pull back, he just stares at her, frozen and speechless. He flinches slightly while she nervously touches her lips and mumbles, I thought I might remember something. Her voice softens with uncertainty as she adds shyly, but I'm not really sure. He caresses her cheek and pulls her in. The moment deepens as they lean in again, kissing more slowly this time, their bodies drawing closer on the couch while the quiet room fills with a soft, breathless intimacy. He tightens his hold around her and presses her closer, her fingers gripping his shirt, as the kiss grows more heated. Their lips part briefly and he asks softly, why are you doing this to me? He buries his face against her shoulder and confesses in a low voice, don't you see how much I've already fallen for you? Still holding her, he warns quietly, if you keep doing this, before finishing with a faint smile and a gentle nuzzle, it will be dangerous. Elsewhere at the audition grounds, the lined-up candidates stand waiting as someone observes calmly while holding a teacup, one person is missing. That woman named Zhou Yuyin really isn't here. The king asks, I heard that Gian called you here first. Li Te reasons, I think he wanted to test my eyes. The king appeals to Te's understanding, saying, please understand, he has to be cautious because of all his responsibilities. But I hope you'll help Gian from now on. I want Gian to marry a woman with the sacred eye. Te's eyes suddenly glow a chilling crimson as they flicker with supernatural intensity, and with a calm but unsettling smile. The king continues, that way, Gian won't have to carry the burden all by himself. Suddenly a servant announces, the crown prince has arrived, and the door slides open as attendants rush aside. The crown prince strides in with imposing authority, hands in his pockets and black ceremonial robes embroidered with gold, his presence so commanding that even the air seems to stiffen with the heavy step of his entrance. The king happily invites him, there you are. Come in, Te respectfully bows and greets, greetings, Your Highness. Are you hurt, Your Highness? The prince rubs his lip with mild irritation after biting it, brushing it off casually while saying, I accidentally bit my lip, prompting the king to click his tongue and scold gently, you should be more careful. Now then, tell us. Tell us which woman can become a royal fiancé with the sacred eye. Meanwhile the prince glances aside skeptically, thinking, none of the women here have the sacred eye, not even Choi Siola. Li Te casually points outside the room, saying simply, over there, and then clarifies with eerie certainty, her eyes are different from the others. She has the sacred eye. The prince instantly slams his fist onto the table with explosive force, slam, his temper igniting as he demands, "What nonsense is this?" Unbothered by the prince's anger, Li Te beams brightly and announces with cheerful confidence, "Congratulations. I believe we've found the next crown princess. Her name is," before the prince cuts in sharply, stunned, "Siola?" The man nods and calmly explains the connection. "Her eyes are just like my mother's. My mother had the sacred eye as well." The prince leans forward with visible frustration and disbelief, demanding, "Are you sure you can take responsibility for what you just said? I am asking if you will take responsibility when the honor of the royal family is at stake." He then doubles down on his claim with unwavering conviction, "Because as the crown prince, I will ask every single person to take their responsibility." Li Te smiles slyly and calmly confirms the claim, saying simply, "Yes. I'm sure of it, Your Highness." While outside the palace grounds the exhausted candidates continue waiting, some bending over and panting huff under the strain of the long ordeal. Among the candidates, Siola suddenly stiffens in surprise as attendants announce a pause in the trial, politely declaring, "All right, that's it. You may all take a short break." A concerned woman notices Siola's pale face and gently warns, "You don't look well. Go sit in the shade and have a cold drink," reaching out to guide her with a reassuring raise. Siola nervously unfolds a handkerchief and freezes as she studies the delicate stitching, realizing with rising shock, the embroidery on the handkerchief is. Her thoughts race as the truth dawns on her. This is the original piece of Choi Siwa's handkerchief. She must be the one that Jang Xian asked to help me. While other attendants rush around the courtyard, bow, dash, "Thank you," Siola quietly realizes her throat is dry and thinks, "I need a cold drink." Around her, other candidates sip, while she pauses and complains, "Hot tea in this weather? They are insane." Just then a messenger approaches briskly calling out, "Miss Choi Siola. His Highness wanted me to deliver this to you," prompting her stunned thought, "My medication?" Immediately rumors swirl in her head as panic rises. Why did the prince have this? Her heart pounds while dizziness creeps in and she anxiously clutches the bottle wondering in alarm. Does that mean the prince knows about my panic disorder? Is he with Yuan right now? Meanwhile her mind swirls dramatically, imagining scandalous scenes. Is the audition an act so they can spend time together? The other candidates gasp dramatically, "Oh my." Another voice speculates, "Is that man the other prince, the son of Prince One? He's handsome." More gossip piles on. "I heard that the candidate has already been decided," while another adds, "Maybe it'll go for a royal relative, at least." The whispers grow sharper as spectators gossip cruelly, saying, "Look, the chosen one doesn't even want to look at us." Overwhelmed by the humiliation and noise, Siola abruptly blurts out, "Where's the bathroom?" and bolts away. Siola rushes toward the building in a flustered panic but abruptly slams straight into someone standing in her path. She recoils in shock while blurting, "Oh my gosh." Li Te asks with concern, "Are you all right?" Then breaks into a warm, disarming smile and greets her politely, asking, "Oh, are you Miss Choi Siola? My name is Li Te. I'm a fan of yours." As Siola nervously falters, identifying him, he's the son of Prince Wijan. He is handsome, but he's dangerous for some reason. She awkwardly replies, "Oh, yes, well, thanks." Li Te suddenly steps forward again. "Miss Choi Siola. You're quite arrogant," leaving Siola baffled as she blurts, "What?" Without backing away, he presses even closer and coolly accuses her, "You must really look down on the royal family if you dare to use that person, even though you don't have the sacred eye." The words hit Siola like a blow as her face drains of color, her body trembling with shock while one panicked thought echoes in her mind, "Who is this guy?" Siola recoils in outrage and shrieks in disbelief, spinning toward him with wide eyes as she blurts, "What are you talking about? Are you crazy?" Meanwhile, Li Te simply looks down at her with unsettling calm and assures her smoothly, "Don't worry, I'm your fan, Ms. Choi, I won't hurt you." His words trigger a sudden wave of memory as Siola recalls a strange encounter in the past, the small note that reads, "I missed you," at her recital performance. The eerie memory sends chills racing down her spine as realization begins creeping in. Li Te leans even closer. As he drops another shocking claim, "I know every little thing about you. I even know who you slept with last night." She grits her teeth and demands, "Who are you?" He replies calmly, "I'm your fan, I'm also someone who can make you the princess." Siola jerks back in disbelief and blurts, "What? That's nonsense. You're lying." Unfazed by her protest, Li Te suddenly grabs both her hands and insistently, urging, "Try this, and if you change your mind and decide to believe me, you'd better not be so rude to me again." As his fingers slip away, Siola instinctively turns confused and shaken. Still processing what just happened, Siola pauses and stares at her hand in confusion, murmuring to herself, "What is this?" Her eyes widen when she notices a sparkling ring now sitting on her finger, glinting mysteriously in the sunlight. Elsewhere inside the palace, Yuyan sits quietly in her room as troubled thoughts swirl through her mind. She questions herself bitterly, "Are you out of your mind, Zhou Yuyan?" While recalling the moment she kissed him and admitting to herself, "I want to say that it was a mistake, but it wasn't. I think I'm the one who's gone insane here." Yuyan abruptly rises from the bed and resolves to end the situation, thinking firmly, "This needs to stop, I really need to stop now. Don't let him see you, Yuyan." The moment she opens the door, however, she runs straight into Jang Eunho standing in the hallway. Startled, she halts as he asks calmly, "Where are you going?" She tries to brush past him and says, "Can you tell me where the entrance is, Mr. Eunho?" Feeling touched that she still remembers his name, he informs her, "His Highness ordered me to protect you." Yuyan frowns and corrects him sharply, saying, "He told you to protect me, not confine me, right?" Eunho hesitates, admitting, "That is true, but let me show you the way." As she walks, Yuyan reflects bitterly on everything that has happened. "I think I might lose my sense of reality when I'm in this palace. Everything that happened with Li Gian is just a fleeting dream. He's a dream that could disappear at any moment. I have to wake up before I faint from this dream." A shadow suddenly looms before them. "I told you to protect her, yet you're helping her run away." The crown prince appears in the corridor with a commanding presence. "I told you to protect her, yet you're helping her run away." As he strides forward with heavy footsteps, stopping directly in front of Yuyan, she states calmly, "I told you, I'm going back." When he asks quietly, "Why?" she answers without hesitation, "It's personal." Yuyan stares at the prince's lips, her thoughts snagging helplessly on the memory, his lips, before she blurts out with quiet guilt, "I'm sorry." The prince simply asks, "For what?" forcing her to face the truth as she admits, with trembling honesty, "I hurt Royal Highness, I do not have the right to be your princess." The memory of their intimate moment crashes back in a swirl of pink haze as they sit close together, lips brushing in a kiss that feels dangerously real. The prince rubs his lip afterward and bluntly points out the consequence of her boldness. "First, you take my first kiss, and now you're asking to run after making my lips bleed?" The prince notices someone coming. Without warning, he pulls her into a tight embrace and briskly covers her with his royal robe, while calling out loudly to the court officials, "Royal wing, go and inform the court. The victor of the first audition has been chosen, and Prince Siola, you shall leave my palace immediately. You will never step foot in the East Palace again." Li Te only smiles faintly at the warning and replies calmly, "Understand." While the prince stares back with a hard gaze, the scene shifts to the modern world where coffee pours into a mug with a soft whir. Li Te stands in a quiet apartment kitchen holding the cup, staring thoughtfully at the machine as the mundane moment contrasts sharply with the palace chaos. He walks across the apartment carrying the mug through the dim room cluttered with boxes and art supplies. He sets the cup down in front of a photo of his father, while speaking calmly, "This took a long time, father." His eyes flash with eerie red light as he smirks while a snake slithers across the floor near his feet. Slither, the snake glides away, swoosh, as a stern warning echoes in his memory. You must not reveal your power or let anyone find out the royal family and the former queen. They are terrible people." The young man looks ahead calmly and simply answers in his mind, "I know, my mother, who had the sacred eye." chose the king's brother instead of the king. That was the only reason the king's mother chose to threaten my mother's life. That is why my parents fled from the palace, but they could never escape the watch of the old queen no matter where they went in the world. Not until the king has a son, if you bear a child. First, I will destroy that seed. Perhaps the former queen was really to blame, or perhaps fleeing had exhausted my mother. I was finally born after my mother lost 2 babies before me. My parents could finally live in peace, only after the former queen passed away and lay at rest in the ground. His expression hardens as he stares ahead with quiet determination and continues the thought with ruthless resolve. I know you were too weak to take action, father, but I will take over your mission. You can rest easy and watch me, father. Looking toward a painting of the palace, he reflects bitterly. The king doesn't even know why my father has been hiding behind the palace. I will not let him have his way. And raising his phone to make a call, holding the phone to his ear, Tay speaks. Casually with a faint smile, saying, "It's me. I obtained a great piece of artwork recently." When the person on the other end asks about the price, he reassures them smoothly, "Oh, of course, if it's certified by the RSA, you don't need to worry about that. I'll send you a picture, buy it if you're interested." Lady Sio yells, "Your Highness, there are rules and customs that are upheld in the palace." The prince replies, "And I thought the sacred eye comes before those rules. They say Choi Siola has the sacred eye. So there's no reason to continue the audition, is there?" Lady Sio protests, shouting, "Your Highness. The discipline of the royal court and her potential as a national mother are far more important than the sacred eye. It is ridiculous to choose someone as foolish as her." The prince stands silently before the altar candles, listening without reacting. Behind him, Chief Li urges cautiously, "Lady Sio. Won't you give His Highness some time to think about the matter? I'm sure he is the one who is most confused and pained by all of this." Lady Sio mutters bitterly, "You think I don't know that already?" Her temper flares as he snaps furiously, "I'd rather he stay single for the rest of his life than choose someone like that as his bride." Yet after a moment he exhales softly, "Pfff," forcing his anger back down. Calming himself, the prince lifts a worn record book and remarks thoughtfully, "That doesn't sound bad either." Lady Sio shouts, "Your Highness. My goodness, I can't take this anymore." While the prince calmly flips through the pages. The Book of Exorcism records the feats of exorcists. Someone intentionally ripped out the pages, and only half of it remains here. If this book was complete, I'm sure it would have something about Li Tai's ability. All I can know right now is that he inherited the ability to discern the sacred eye. Choi Siola has the sacred eye. A skeptical voice dismisses the claim outright, "Don't be ridiculous." The prince studies the book from behind and murmurs thoughtfully, A close-up of the page shows the serpent illustration as his thoughts piece together the clue. The name uses the letter WA for painting and MAI for dope KB. The meaning is pretty much the same as the Maya. But this book differentiates the Maya and the Huan Maya. Realizing the implications decides, I'll need to look further into the Huan Maya. He then turns and calls out calmly, "Lady Sio. Did you know about Prince Siohian's existence, or the ability of his family?" Startled, Lady Sio bows quickly and admits reluctantly, "Yes, I did." The prince presses further, asking coldly, "Then why didn't you tell me?" Lady Sio lowers her head and explains carefully, "It wasn't necessary. They have no authority here, Your Highness." He continues logically, if that was true, Li Tai wouldn't have been able to interfere in the audition in the first place. If Choi Siola really has the sacred eye, his mind jumps to another strange memory, the mysterious girl he once encountered in the art classroom. The realization unsettles him as a final thought echoes in his mind, "Then what about the girl I met in the art classroom? What does that make her? A ghost? That girl was you, Zhou Yuyan." His heart wants to accept it completely, admitting to himself, "I wanted to believe that," and even more desperately, "I wanted to believe that we were rekindled." But doubt creeps in as he reflects bitterly, "That's why I let my heart go where it wanted to." But what if you aren't that girl? He glances toward the shrine where incense burns and wonders darkly, what if all of this was just a coincidence? What if I'm the only one who can't let go of what's already gone? His hand tightens as frustration sharpens his expression. Turning sharply, he thinks bitterly about the interference surrounding his marriage, concluding, that relative without any authority is about to decide the future of my marriage. Someone nearby whispers in agreement, it seems like he has the most influence in this place right now. The prince strides through the hall with firm footsteps and asks directly, that relative without any authority is about to decide the future of my marriage. It seems like he has the most influence in this palace right now. When is the exhibition that Prince Siohian wanted to help? The answer comes immediately, on the 4th of next month. His gaze sharpens as he decides, I'll have to see the artwork before that. My cousin just appeared out of thin air, and he's definitely up to something. I want to know what he's planning. Rain falls over a car trunk packed with luggage. A voice explains, I think Director Choi is going to visit Siola Hospital right now. He has a very bad cold. Meanwhile, Yuyan instructs calmly, head to his home right away. All of his belongings have been taken out of the hotel. But don't tell him about this. If he asks who did this, then tell him that I moved his things on the chairman's orders. The person on the other end hesitates, asking, understood. But are you sure you'll be all right, Ms. Zhou? Yuyan answers quietly but firmly, if I'm going to be reprimanded either way, I have to get things done so I can at least defend myself. The person on the other line replies, I'll do my best to assist you. Stay strong, Ms. Zhou. Looking up at the rainy sky and the city beyond, she gathers her resolve and thinks, I guess other people can see that I'm trying to do my best. A man approaches her cautiously and asks, Miss Zhou, what about the items stored in the hotel safe? She glances back and replies simply, get them out. The password is 1207, she smiles faintly and adds with quiet nostalgia, which is my birthday. The password for his cell phone, and even his bank account and personal safe box in the company. He used my birthday for all of them. Yuyan reflects sadly when he tells her, I don't mind if I don't remember anything. We can start all over again. She asks, did we really date each other? He confidently replies, of course. She asks, so, who confessed first? When he hesitates with I won't tell you that. It's embarrassing. She chuckles and asks, oh, so it was you. Ha ha. They lean in and kiss, but the kiss then overlaps the kiss she had recently with the prince. Yuyan suddenly blushes hard as embarrassing thoughts sneak back into her mind and she scolds herself internally, thinking, I must be insane. Stop thinking about Li Gian. Yet curiosity creeps in anyway as she hesitates and wonders, then again, who was Li Gian angry at back there? I couldn't see the other person's face. Nearby, people gossip casually, asking, did you hear? Choi Siola was chosen in the first audition, and another voice confirms, His Highness personally chose her. Yuyan walks away, more whispers follow behind her, then who was that he gave his cap to, and another speculates, maybe he didn't like her after all. Someone sighs that the whole situation resembles a spectacle, remarking, this is just like a reality show. I wish they would broadcast this. Yuyan exhales softly with a quiet sigh, trying to ignore the chatter. She checks the list in her hand while counting inventory, thinking, 5 watches, 2 documents. All right. I have everything. Then she instructs the man beside her firmly, I'd like to check out of room 1 on the 22nd floor. 2 days pass as rain pours down. Yuyan reflects calmly, I thought Choi Junil would get angry that I checked out of the hotel on his behalf, but he went home pretty quietly. Choi Siola has been quiet too. It was amazing how nothing happened. And my preparations to move out are going pretty smoothly. I found a place to live, so I need to plan my move. But since my mom is still recovering, I'm not sure if this is a great idea to move out. And Li Jian hasn't been contacting me. That's what I wanted, but why is it bothering me? Her doubts deepen as she questions her own identity. Am I really the person from Li Jian's memories? If only my memory would come back. Suddenly Siola appears behind her and asks casually, "It sure is raining hard. Are you going to work?" Then smiles slyly and reveals her destination while lifting a small gift box saying, "I'm going to Gyeongbok Palace." Siola grins and declares with confidence, "I have a gift for His Highness, and I need to have an audience with the king too." Yuyin. I should have thanked you earlier, but I've been so busy lately, sorry about that. Yuyin insists truthfully, "I don't think I did anything," while Siola replies politely, "Oh, don't say that. Aren't you the one who persuaded the prince? You know, when you were alone with him." Yuyin immediately turns and denies it calmly, saying, "I don't think the prince would be easily influenced, especially not by someone like me." Siola's expression sharpens as she murmurs ominously, You're a mean person." She presses further with resentment, "You told the prince about my illness, didn't you? And you know how desperate I am. How could you just tell him about my panic attacks?" Yuyin calls her name firmly, Siola. But Siola immediately shuts her down, declaring coldly, "No. I don't want to hear your apology. You were always so good at looking down on people. Looks like you still have that habit. But I guess you did convince the prince. I mean, I won the first audition because you fetched medication for my panic disorder." As the words hang in the air, Yuyin's instincts stir uneasily and she thinks, something doesn't feel right. Siola can be a bit stubborn, but she's not sarcastic like this. Siola finishes with a dismissive warning, "But you'd better not talk behind my back anymore. It's annoying." Just then a man abruptly pushes the door open and calls out firmly, "Let's go, Junol," before striding away while Siola follows. Junol glances back briefly while Yuyin watches in confusion. Mr. Choi yawns loudly before saying impatiently, "We should get going too, Yuyin." Under umbrellas and the pouring rain, Mr. Choi orders, "Director Seo should be calling today. Finalize the company's new cleaning and new home and send someone over." Yuyin replies, "Miss Seo will call?" Mr. Choi replies, "Yeah, it's not like you're doing anything lately anyway." Standing alone under the rain with her umbrella, Yuyin reflects quietly, thinking, nobody in the secretary office is busier than I am. All right, I understand. At the Grand Palace under a stormy sky, a voice reports, "I'm in front of Gyeongbok Palace right now. Prince Gian and the staff have just arrived," as the prince strides forward with his entourage beneath the looming palace gates. While quietly eating alone in the cafeteria, Yuyin watches the news broadcast announcing the latest royal developments. Our guess is that they are about to announce news of Li Xian, or Prince Wijin, and the report continues dramatically, "Who could possibly have left the palace 30 years ago and disappeared? The man who is next to Prince Gian is Li Tae, an artist who has first won worldwide recognition of the Ethel Artist Association." The broadcast zooms in on Li Tae smiling confidently as the narration adds, "He is suspected to be a royal family member." Meanwhile, Ms. Choi Siola is the victor of the first audition. Viewers murmur among themselves as the broadcast elaborates, "She is a pianist and the daughter of Mr. Choi Woo-sik, the chairman of Siola Pharmaceuticals. Currently, she is said to be the candidate who will most likely be chosen as the princess." Yuyin tries to focus on her meal but quietly reflects, "This has nothing to do with me, but that man, Li Tae. He's the one who grabbed my arm before. Could he be the one that the prince was angry at?" Shaking her head rapidly, Yuyin forces the thought away and mutters to herself, No, I need to stop thinking about this." Later, the car speeds through the night as Yuyin casually asks, "Is there a problem with the wedding hall?" Miss Seo clarifies smoothly, No. I mean, I heard you worked in Siowa Gallery, and passed the curator certification exam, so I want your help." Looking through the rearview mirror, Yuyan asks, "Are you going to see a piece of artwork?" Miss Seo answers simply, "Yes. Junie's mother just came home from overseas, you know. I want to give her a present," then adds sincerely, "and I like you, Yuyan. If this goes well, I'll do anything you ask. I've always wanted to repay you for everything you've done. But I know you never accept any gifts." Meanwhile, Yuyan quietly observes her and thinks, she's definitely too good for someone like Choi Jinul. I don't know why she would have a crush on him for over 10 years. Whatever, I should focus on driving, as the navigation displays their destination, Yangpyeong XX Salon. Looking outside, she notices the weather clearing and thinks, it stopped raining for now, but the forecast said it will rain all day tomorrow. I wonder if it's going to rain again on the way back. Arriving at the location, the two women step out of the car together while Miss Seo happily hooks her arm around Yuyan's. With a gentle smile she says, "I heard someone from Gyeongbok Palace will be here today. They're interested in the piece too, but I want to buy it first. Help me. Help me out, will you?" Yuyan answers calmly with a small nod, "I'll do my best." As they enter the gallery and hear the surrounding chatter, she notices a group gathered nearby and thinks uneasily, those people are. I know them, but I don't really want to get close to them. Across the room, a woman enthusiastically waves and calls out, "Yona." Yuyan suggests, "You should go and chat with them. I'll go to the second floor and take a look at the art." Miss Seo lightly insists with a playful tone, "Oh, will you? I'll leave that to you then." Before she can escape the social battlefield, a voice from the crowd loudly questions, "Why did you bring her here? Isn't that Junul's maid? You can be so scary, Yona. You're so good to her even though you know the rumors about her and Junul." Climbing the steps with quiet determination, she tells herself firmly, "I don't even need to react to such nonsense." Then a calm male voice interrupts her thoughts from behind, "Oh, Jo Yuyan," revealing a man who introduces himself with professional confidence as Director John Sung-yeok from Shinhai Industrial Development. "You're Junul's secretary, right? Is Junul here?" She answers politely, "I'm accompanying Director Seo today." He brightens at the news and leans in eagerly, saying, "Oh, right. You have a curator certificate, don't you? Can I look around with you? I may not have an eye for art, but I'm very keen." Though she nods out of politeness, her inner voice immediately recoils as he steps far too close, thinking stiffly, "He makes me uncomfortable, but I'm sure he'll leave when he gets bored." They begin looking through paintings together as she studies the displays critically, silently judging the works with blunt honesty. None of these are that great. But, is someone really coming from Gyeongbok Palace? What if Prince Gian comes here? John Sung-yeok hovers right behind her shoulder, and he casually asks, "Do you like this one?" Her eyes narrow slightly as suspicion flickers across her expression and she murmurs thoughtfully, Then the artwork itself reveals a subtle danger, a painted snake slithering through the grass, and she calmly notes, "But I didn't sense this at all." Unfazed, she looks almost amused and remarks coolly, "I'm not scared of you one bit. This must be a low-level one." Then she turns back when John Sung-yeok and says, "Jo Yuyan. What are you doing this weekend? I've had my eye on you for a while, you know. But Junul never gave me a chance to get close to you. Why don't we go out a few times? You should work on your taste, you know. Isn't it humiliating to be with a man who's getting married soon?" Completely stunned, she can only blink and say, "What?" John Sung-yeok doubles down without a shred of embarrassment, shrugging as he says, "You should find another sugar daddy." "How much does Junul pay you anyway?" "I'll pay you double." Still processing the audacity of the offer, she stares at him with narrowed eyes. Just then, something far more dangerous slithers into the scene. An eerie snake spirit with glowing red eyes appears near the painting and creeps closer with a menacing slither. Without even turning fully toward the spirit, she watches it approach with tired annoyance and says coolly, "I'm not in the mood to deal with you right now." Then she flicks a finger against the painting with a sharp press, adding calmly, "But I'm doing this because it's my duty." She points directly at it with a cold glare and delivers a firm warning, "Don't be careless and stay in your place. Otherwise, I'll toss you out like trash." Behind her, John Sun-yeok bristles with outrage, puffing angrily and demanding, "What did you just say?" His temper explodes as he grabs her shoulder with a rough grab, snarling, "You think you're all that just because people call you pretty? You're just mooching off the money that Choi Jinul gives you." A voice calls out, "I don't like people touching what's mine." This is quite baffling, to be honest. Both of them turn toward the source of the voice, where a sharply dressed man approaches with composed authority. John Sun-yeok thinks, the person from Gyeonmok Palace was actually Lee Gian? John Sun-yeok instantly switches to fake friendliness, twirling around with a grin and saying, "Haha, I didn't expect to see your highness here. I'm Yun Sun-yeok from Sun-gil," but the prince interrupts him with icy brevity, stating simply, "Whatever. Apologize first." Caught off guard, John Sun-yeok flushes bright red and stammers awkwardly, "It wasn't my intention to be rude." Then, sensing the situation turning against him, he panics and bolts away shouting, "Out of my way," while the crowd erupts into noisy clamor as Chief Lee announces nearby, "The second floor is off limits due to national security reasons." The snake peeks out of the painting again with a timid whimper while she stares at it with a stern glare. The prince calls her out, "You obviously saw me. Why aren't you saying anything? Am I the only one who missed you?" The sudden intimacy makes her swallow nervously with a visible gulp, and a shiver runs down her neck as she instinctively turns toward him. He bends closer with quiet intensity and clarifies in a low voice, "I'm asking you right now if I'm the only one who was thinking about you." His head dips forward until his shoulder presses against her as she stiffens in place with a stunned slump, her cheeks burning bright red in a helpless blush. The event continues, faces, conversations, the faint clink of glasses, and distant laughter, until the noise dissolves into the sound of rain. Jinul wipes rain off him as he asks, "Is Miss Seo Yona inside? Did she have someone accompanying her?" The attendant replies curtly, "Yes, she arrived about 30 minutes ago." "She was with someone." John Sun-yeok approaches drunkenly, greeting him with familiarity, "You're finally here, Jinul." Jinul barely reacts, "What's wrong with you?" John Sun-yeok praises, "Man, you're so lucky. I wonder who you're here to see today. Your fiancé? Or your ex? By the way, is your ex getting it on with the prince? But I thought your dad has been bragging about your sister marrying the prince." Jinul abruptly shoves him away, sending the man staggering backward as he snaps, "What are you going on about?" But the gossiping John Sun-yeok just shrugs and replies, "I mean, I saw them today. And the crown prince seemed very close with her, you know. More than he was with Choi Siola, at least." Jinul's expression darkens instantly as his jaw tightens into a furious grind. Without another word, he turns sharply and walks away. Across the gallery, a tense conversation unfolds in hushed tones as someone insists desperately, "We didn't know that there was a piece of art that wasn't certified. Chongyun never partakes in illegal trading, I swear." Meanwhile, Yona responds with cool disbelief, saying, "This isn't some black market. How could you bring forged art in here? How will I trust your company now?" Suddenly, Jinul's arm slips around Yona's shoulders from behind as Jinul steps close and pulls her gently into his side. Yona calmly asks, "Jinul, what are you doing here?" Standing together beneath the gallery lights, Jinul looks down at her and asks quietly, "What happened? Why did you bring Miss Jo here?" Yona reasons, "I mean, your father likes her. Why not?" Lowering his voice into a careful whisper, he reminds her gently, "Yona, you know why I'm asking." Yona smiles sweetly despite the tension and tells him lightly, "Watch your face." You're making it look like I stole your toy or something. I'm only being nice because it's you, Yuyan. I like Yuyan. Then she calmly delivers the real twist with quiet amusement. The part one like the most is that she has absolutely no interest in you. So, you can take your time recovering from the breakup, but don't embarrass me, alright? You're making me angry now. Junil quickly turns toward her with a troubled expression and insists, Yona, that's not true. She brushes him off, I know. I'm not going to be jealous of your office wife, alright? Because you came here to see me. Not because you're worried about Yuyan. Right. Yet his eyes lower immediately afterward, his expression heavy and conflicted as unspoken thoughts crowd his mind. He was instantly smitten with her the moment his father introduced her to them. Junil recalls how he once believed completely that she would always stay by his side, thinking bitterly, I thought Yuyan wouldn't leave me even if I married someone else. Because our family holds her weakness, I thought she'd run away even if she wanted to. But she cut me off as soon as she heard about my engagement. She pushed me away. Even so, I thought she still loved me. But then she joined the royal audition. In his mind's eye, the chains break apart as she walks away from them, leaving the restraints behind. Junil's jaw tightens with a frustrated grit as he insists to himself possessively, you were supposed to be mine. You love me. Right, Yuyan? Back in the gallery, Yuyan glances upward as her heart pounds loudly in her ears with a racing ba-dum, ba-dum, the tension between them thick and unmistakable. Prince Li Gian leans in close, his presence towering over her as he begins softly, do you plan to not say a word to me? Meanwhile, his hand quietly slides toward hers, their fingers brushing in a tentative moment of contact. Yuyan suddenly flinches at the touch and reacts instantly, her hand flashes upward as she stares up at him, breath trembling with shock and emotion. Still absorbing the sting of the slap, the prince steadies himself and quietly asks, Ms. Zhou, are you angry at me? She refuses to meet his eyes, and answers simply, no. He immediately presses the contradiction, asking, then why are you being so cold? I'm going to be hurt if you keep this up. His voice drops as he studies her expression and asks softly, do you know why the first time can be the scariest? Because when you're sleeping, resting, or trying to work, you keep thinking of it, and it makes you go mad. She stiffens and tries to push back with resolve, telling him firmly, I'm not the kind of person you want. Unfazed, he plants one hand against the wall beside her and asks quietly, and what kind of person do I want? His fingers slip toward hers as she answers his own question, a woman with the eye. He draws her slightly closer and recounts what she just says, so what I want is a woman with the eye. His hand closes around hers decisively, but his gaze sharpens and golden eyes flashing with sudden awareness. A dark mist begins curling through the air around them as he steps back and asks pointedly, does this have something to do with you, Ms. Zhou? In an instant, the hidden spirit lashes out, its mouth opening wide with a furious hiss as it lunges forward, only for the prince to seize it mid-attack with a crushing grab. Blue flames erupt around the writhing creature as he remarks coolly, this is my first time seeing a passive one. So, it was you. The creature thrashes violently as the prince's blue fire ignites brighter with a roaring blaze, consuming the snake spirit as it dissolves into crackling energy. Yuyan stares wide-eyed at the sudden display and falters, whispering in disbelief, how, before a sharp voice cuts through the gallery behind them demanding, what are you doing here, Manager Zhou? She stiffens in shock, visibly startled. Both she and the prince turn toward the voice where Junil's expression twists with anger, his jaw tightening into a furious grit. Junil storms forward and snatches Yuyan's wrist, barking, this place is for members only. How did you even get in here? While Yuyan thinks quietly to herself, I never thought I'd welcome this intrusion for once. Meanwhile, the prince stands silently nearby, watching the confrontation unfold with an unreadable expression. Junil barely contains his fury and orders sharply, leave. Right now. You're not my father's secretary, you're my secretary. Without waiting for an answer, he grabs her wrist and pulls her away across the floor. Yona watches the scene unfold with mild regret and sighs softly, saying, "Oh, you got scolded because of me, Yuyan. I'm sorry." Before the tension can linger, Yuyan snaps her hand irritably and says briskly, "Purchase piece number 17 on the second floor. Mrs. Choi likes that artist. Also, it's an original with a high price tag. You should definitely buy that one." Yona simply smiles and waves lightly in approval. Outside the gallery, rain pours steadily as Yuyan steps out into the night. An umbrella suddenly pops open above her head and Eunho beside her offers politely, "Allow me to escort you." She politely declines the help and says, "I'll call a taxi, and I can go by myself." She moves away into the rain, leaving Eunho to shout urgently, "Ms. Jo." She pauses at the crosswalk, rain drumming against her umbrella while she looks across the street. On the other side of the road, a young man stands beneath a black umbrella beside a white car. Smiling casually from the shadows of the umbrella, he offers smoothly, "Is it all right with you? I can give you a ride." Suspicious, she steps closer and asks bluntly, "Who are you?" The man laughs lightly and answers, "We met before, don't you remember?" In front of, she cuts him off immediately with a cool reply, "That's not what I meant." He finally introduces himself, saying warmly, "I'm Lee Tae. Can I call you Nuna?" "Yuyan Nuna." Still smiling, he opens the car door invitingly and says, "Hop in. I wasn't exactly expecting you. But this is great. I've been waiting to talk." Yuyan calmly pulls out her phone and responds without hesitation, "I'll politely refuse." The young man chuckles and snaps his umbrella shut with a confident clack, warning lightly, "You'll regret that." But she walks away through the rain with a determined splash of footsteps and replies over her shoulder, "Well, I think I'll regret it even if I go with you. So I just don't go anywhere with strangers." Standing under his umbrella in the pouring rain, the young man casually slides a phone into his pocket and remarks with an easy smile, "I'm not a suspicious person. You know who I am, Nuna." Yuyan simply stares at him, unimpressed and unmoved. "Then, we can talk right here." Lee Tae warns her plainly, "I'm giving you the upper hand, you know." "I know you're lying to my brother." Yuyan feigns ignorance. "You sure say some strange things." He studies her with curiosity and muses, "I wonder if you don't want to be the princess, or if you hate the sacred eye." "My brother has the power." "Of course, and I have the eyes that can find the sacred eye. They say they're the powers of the royal family. Anyway, my brother seems to have fallen for." Unfazed by his confrontation, she asks bluntly, "Mr. Lee. I mean, Prince Sohyun. Are you raising a pet snake? Your hands and wrists. I can see snake scales all over your skin." Water drips from the edge of his umbrella while faint reptilian scales creep along his neck and jaw. His playful smile fades into something darker as the revelation settles in the stormy silence. Yuyan's thoughts sharpen as realization clicks into place, "If those scales are from the snake that I saw before. Lee Tae is a dangerous man." Standing beside the curb in the rain, she states firmly, "As you said, I don't want to become the princess. And I hate that I have these eyes. But I'm also tired of people blackmailing me." Lee Tae watches her from under his umbrella while she walks away along the wet street as she declares her stance. "We're both lying to other people, so why don't we just end things here?" Down the road, she flags a taxi as he adds casually, "Right, well, I'm already done with my part anyway." Confused by the comment, she murmurs to herself, "What is he talking about?" The taxi door opens and she moves toward it just as someone rushes in from the rain with a sudden dash. Startled, she gasps when a hand grabs her wrist. Prince Gian appears breathless and soaked, gripping her wrist tightly while panting and declaring desperately, "You're not leaving me again like before." She asks with concern, "You don't have an umbrella." He admits bluntly, "I didn't want to waste even a second." Rain drips from his hair as he explains quietly, because I didn't want to let you get away. His expression softens into a small, relieved smile as he adds, I may have gotten a bit wet. Then he finishes with quiet satisfaction, but I caught you just in time. Yuyan freezes in surprise, her golden eyes wide and cheeks faintly flushed from the sudden confrontation. He steps closer and firmly grabs the umbrella handle she's holding while saying seriously, we still have things to talk about. May I accompany you to Seoul? She hesitates as he gently guides her toward the open car door, and she tumbles inside with a surprised flop. He watches her with a confident smile and says calmly, and if you don't want to talk to me, you can at least listen to what I have to say. Inside the taxi, Yuyan sits stiffly in the back seat when the door shuts. He quickly slides in next to her and pulls the door closed and flashes an easy smile toward the driver and apologizes lightly, sorry for making you wait. Then he calmly instructs, to Jongnyo, please. The driver stammers in shock, Princely Gian, before nervously correcting himself, yes, Your Highness, as the taxi speeds away with a loud vroom, leaving the guards shouting, Your Highness. Your Highness. Inside the car, Yuyan turns toward the window, completely stunned, realizing in disbelief, wait, he didn't tell them where he's going. She quickly turns toward him, startled, blurting out, wait, before she can protest further, Prince Gian suddenly leans sideways and collapses against her shoulder mumbling drowsily, I need to rest a bit. I'm tired. She murmurs softly, I'll wake you up when we're in Seoul. Then, half asleep already, he adds one more instruction, don't let go of my hand. Still holding her hand, he adds sleepily, I'll wake up if you do. Within moments, he completely passes out against her shoulder, breathing steadily as his head rests against her neck. Yuyan slowly turns her head, studying his sleeping face up close. She pauses for a long moment, her gaze lingering as his calm breathing brushes against her skin. Inside, a heavy thought presses into her mind, I don't know how much longer I can take this. She admits inwardly with conflicted guilt, maybe I was wrong for thinking that I could, then finishes the thought bitterly, fool him and the royal family. Her gaze lowers slightly as she observes quietly, his lips are chapped. She slowly reaches into her bag and grabs a small lip balm. Leaning closer, she carefully applies it to his lips while he half wakes and murmurs drowsily, I thought I smelled something sweet. His eyes open slightly as he asks curiously, did you put this on for me? He lazily licks his lips while she flusters and answers quickly, oh, yes, He gently nudges her cheek with his fingers and reassures her, don't worry. I don't plan to let anyone, he gently cups her cheek with his fingers. He slowly leans closer, her lashes fluttering shut as her cheeks flush pink, and before she can react, he presses a sudden kiss against her lips inside the dim taxi. Rain streaks across the taxi window as the kiss deepens briefly. Pulling back just enough to murmur near her lips, he asks teasingly, do you think I need more? Leaving her sitting there dazed, blinking in shock. Studying her stunned expression, he asks softly again, what do you think, Yuyan? Do I need more, or, is this enough, as he kisses her once more? Outside in the rain, the taxi curves away along the wet road, its tires cutting through puddles as it disappears into the night. Back at the gallery entrance, Li-tae raises his hand slowly as dark smoke-like energy slips from his skin. Standing alone in the rain, he exhales sharply and pants while the last traces of power coil away from his fingers. Li-tae stares down at his trembling hands and mutters in disbelief, did it disappear completely? His fingers shaking with a visible tremble. Rain runs down his clenched fist, thinking grimly, I thought it would last a lot longer than that, then realization dawns as he continues, but I did learn something. He opens his palm slowly, water pooling against his skin as Yuyan's face reflects in his mind. His thoughts sharpen with sudden excitement as he concludes, her eyes, her sacred eyes, she can even sense my power. In the rain-soaked darkness, Li-tae throws his head back and laughs wildly, ha ha ha, staring up at the storm while Yuyan's golden eyes flash in his mind. His grin twists with manic delight as he whispers, Jo Yuyan. So, even heaven, then bursting into a roaring shwaa of laughter as he finishes, is helping me. Back inside the taxi, rain softly patters against the windows. Their hands are still loosely intertwined. He speaks quietly but firmly, saying, "There will be a second audition. Be there. I need you to go somewhere with me after that." Yuyan listens silently before giving a small nod. He remarks casually, "I heard you're moving soon." Yuyan nods and answers simply, "Oh, yes. I found a place to stay, but I haven't decided when to move yet." As her attention lingers at their clasped hands, he tells her quietly, "Tell me when you do. I'll help you move." Surprised, she blinks and murmurs uncertainly, Your Highness?" He smiles warmly and replies with a relaxed smile, "I need to use my energy somehow, right?" She reluctantly agrees and instructs, "You'll have to help quietly." Yuyan raises a finger to her lips, shush, and says calmly, "Because it's a secret. I'm not telling anyone that I'm moving. Still, I will accept your help if you're offering." Prince Gian tries to hide his sudden amusement, coughing into his fist with a small pf before clearing his throat. Yuyan says, "By the way, why were you there earlier?" "What, do you think I followed you there?" Flusters, she replies, "No, that's not what I meant." He states factly, "Prince Sohyun creeped me off, about a black market that is held there from time to time." Then he lowers his voice and finishes the thought with quiet seriousness as he leans even closer, "Someone has been circulating artwork by impersonating the RSA. I went there to confirm Prince Sohyun's information. I was wondering if he wanted to buy the royal family's favor with that information." Startled by how close he is, Yuyan quickly turns toward the open door and scrambles out of the taxi into the rain. "Weary home." Lowering her voice into a whisper, she reminds him softly, "Our kiss. You won't tell anyone about it, will you?" The words hit him a moment later, his chest pounding. Watching her step away, he quickly reaches out desperately, catching her wrist before she can walk off. Pulling her gently back against him in the rain, he murmurs slowly, "Even if I don't, that doesn't mean it didn't happen." His arms circle around her from behind as the taxi idles nearby. Yuyan lowers her gaze, cheeks faintly flushed, and quietly asks, "But still," he asks her with fragile honesty, "Do you hate me?" Caught off guard, she quickly waves her hands and blurts out awkwardly, "That's not what I meant." Embarrassed, she spins away and runs off. Chief Li telepathically sends a scolding frown to the prince while the prince smiles unbothered by the telepathy scolds. As they walk away under the umbrella, Prince Gian asks, "The painting?" Chief Li answers calmly, "We retrieved it." Prince Gian walks coolly and concludes, "All right, then we're done for today." Chief Li sighs in frustration and complains, "I'm getting more gray hairs because of you lately." While Prince Gian glances and questions, "Why?" Chief Li presses on firmly, saying, "You need to tell us what your plan is." Even today, suddenly, headlights cut through the rain as a car screeches, stopping just before hitting their car. Junil bursts from the vehicle shouting urgently, "Your Highness! Choi Siola, my sister, is participating in your painting audition." The prince replies calmly, "Is that so?" Junil questions furiously, "I've been wondering for a while now. What is your relationship with my secretary? Is it just me, or is my secretary uncomfortable with you?" He presses on with angry conviction, declaring, "Yuyan is like family to me. I do not want to see your highness disrespecting her." Prince Gian answers coolly across the rain-soaked street, "I think you're too interested in your subordinate's private life, Mr. Choi." Furious, Junil repeats stubbornly, "I told you, she's like family." Prince Gian turns away and replies flatly, "That's what you think." Junil still trying to convince himself, his voice cracks with emotion as he continues, "Yuyan joined the audition, all because of me. Yuyan just wanted me to pay attention to her. She can be a bit immature sometimes. I worry that she's bothering your highness. But do not acknowledge her selfish tantrums. Because Yuyan only wants my attention. Prince Gian exhales a quiet, amused p before casually patting Chief Li with playful slap, joking, Mr. Choi, did you memorize those lines from a TV show? Gosh, you look so cool. The taunt ignites instant fury as Junal roars, what are you talking about? Prince Gian calmly walks forward through the rain, warns evenly, because, if not. How dare you talk to me like that? Do not acknowledge her. Do not acknowledge what exactly? His eyes narrow as he finishes calmly, and who? Standing frozen in the rain, the furious Junal stiffens as realization hits him and swallows hard, while Prince Gian simply smirks and reassures him calmly, don't worry. Because I don't mind losing, Ms. Zhou. Left behind in the rain, the man stands stunned and trembling. Prince Gian walks towards the car. He steps into the waiting car while Chief Li holds an umbrella over him, the door closing with a heavy clunk, and moments later the vehicle pulls away into the wet road with a quiet vroom. Inside the car, Prince Gian sits calmly in the back seat with his arms crossed while Chief Li beside him reports status, back at the gallery. Even Manager Park couldn't smell the Maya at all. There are some people in the RSA with the ability to smell the Maya. If you don't have the sacred eye, how are you able to detect it passively, Your Highness? Prince Gian concludes calmly, I could just feel it. Chief Li suggests, perhaps His Majesty the King knows something about this. Resting his chin on his hand in thought, Prince Gian murmurs, I guess I should go see him. So, what about Zhou Yuyan's mother? Chief Li flips through a file and answers, Zhou Yuyan's mother is Park Hyerin. She's been unconscious for 13 years. She's being treated at Siola Hospital. As Prince Gian scrolls through the medical report on the tablet, Chief Li continues, however, nothing is known about a cure for her illness. Prince asks, so she's in a vegetative state, like a coma? Chief Li summarizes softly, she's asleep. Actually, Sangin wants to speak to you regarding this. He wants to talk about the spell of Mangriang. Prince Jian's expression sharpens slightly as he hears Sangin. Side note, the spell of Mangriang, a spell only granted to those who have been affected by Ma to erase a person's painful memories. Prince Gian expressions lit up excitedly, right, I forgot about the spell of Mangriang. Water drips softly on the floor as Yuyan reflects quietly in the present, I know that. But I've crossed the line now. I can't help it anymore. Water drips steadily as she looks down at her wet feet on the floor and confesses to herself with quiet determination, I just want to tell him everything, about my eyes, and that power too. I've seen that kind of power before. Then her memory drifts back in time as she recalls, when I was young I went to the US for a month because of my father's business. In the hazy glow of memory, a glowing deer appears before her and asks curiously, so, you can see this? The mystical creature continues lightly, I can create dope KBs. Small glowing deer-like spirits hop playfully between open palms with cheerful hop. And dope KBs never harm good children. In fact, they could give you a present. A younger Yuyan clings nervously to her father and blurts out in disbelief, you're lying. The mysterious man simply smiles kindly and offers the painting forward, asking calmly, want to try? The glowing deer inside the painting tilts its head as the man encourages her gently, dear dope KBs, will you be my friend? Go ahead, ask it. But little Yuyan bursts into frightened tears crying, wah. I don't want to, as her father hugs her reassuringly with a comforting hug. Her father pats her head with gentle pat while asking the strange man cautiously, can you tell me more about that? As the adults talk nearby, one voice concludes thoughtfully, then, Yuyan's eyes are, and another explains carefully, yes, the royal family seeks those with the sacred eye, that was when she learned about the sacred eye. Back in the present, Yuyan sits in the bath lost in thought and reflects quietly, and that man's ability felt similar to what Li Te did. Then, Li Te is the one who made that snake. Her thoughts sharpen with suspicion. Why did he create a dope KBs, only to report it himself? Shouldn't he be hiding it? What exactly is his goal? She remembers how the dope KBs she saw that day behaved strangely and concludes thoughtfully, the dope KBs I saw today felt a bit different from usual. I guess that's because it was made artificially. It was gentle. Although, it seemed hostile toward Li Gian. Wrapping a towel around her head, she sighs in confusion. I don't understand at all. Her mind flashes back to the kiss in the car, and she instinctively rubs her lips, whispering to herself in embarrassed regret, I shouldn't do that anymore. Yuyan grips the fabric of her shirt tightly and steels herself, thinking firmly, I need to watch myself. My feelings don't matter right now. As she moves through the house, a loud crash echoes from downstairs, making someone shout in alarm, Goodness, Mr. Choi. Yuyan pauses briefly as she mutters under her breath, Choi Jinul, but her thoughts suddenly glitch into a distorted memory of Jinul's voice whispering ominously, Think about it, Yuyan. His unsettling smile appears in the memory as he murmurs manipulatively, Who would love you besides me? You're practically an orphan. Nobody will accept you. His voice grows more possessive as the memory continues, so. You just have to love me. He declares coldly, I'm the only one you can accept into your world. Yuyan. The vision shifts to Jinul casually announcing, I'm going to marry her. But you still love me, don't you? The lingering image of chains collapsing onto the ground flickers away as the illusion shatters, snapping Yuyan free from the manipulation. Buried beneath the blanket and utterly exhausted, she admits quietly to herself, I'm tired of all of this. The door opens as Siola walks into the dim room and finds Jinul sitting hunched forward on the couch, elbows on his knees. She steps closer cautiously and calls out softly, Jinul. He sits silently in the shadows, still flushed and clearly lost in thought. Siola's expression tightens with quiet irritation as she grits her teeth, thinking bitterly, again? Because of Yuyan. It's because of her every time, before finally asking him aloud with concern, Are you all right? Under his breath, he says, You were the one who insisted on becoming a royal. He then challenges her bluntly, Do you really think you can marry the prince? You're really stupid enough to think you can do that? He shakes her furiously. Wake up. Stop using Yuyan for your selfish desires. Siola jerks back in disbelief and shrieks furiously, You're saying that to me? Of all people, how can you say that to me? Jinul stares down at her with quiet contempt and answers flatly, Because you're pathetic. Siola, you're not like Yuyan. Siola's body begins to tremble with rage as her face twists. Without another word she suddenly turns away and storms out, slamming the door behind her with a violent slam. She storms up the stairs like a thundercloud with legs, fists clenched and fury radiating while someone in the background wonders, What the hell? And without slowing down she barrels into a room and slams the door, seething as she spits out, Pathetic? Her anger detonates as objects go flying across the room with a violent crash, and she stands there heaving huff-puff with blazing eyes, shouting in outrage, Me? And what's so great about Yuyan? Her rage collapses into trembling frustration as she stares down at her shaking hands and confesses with bitter despair, I can't play the piano anymore because of the pain in my hands. And when I give up the piano, everyone will watch and mock me as I fall into hell. If I have no choice but to end my career with marriage. If everyone is going to insult me anyway, then I might as well marry into the highest position. She stands trembling in the middle of the mess, cosmetics scattered everywhere, while cruel voices echo around her, who would be jealous of a beggar like her? She's just a freak who sees ghosts, with more muttering mumble as she quietly trembles in humiliation. Her gaze drifts to the desk where a small glowing object sits among the makeup. A memory surfaces, try this. And if you change your mind and decide to believe me. She stands alone at the table as the bag rustles softly in her hand, staring at it like it might bite, and after a long pause she mutters uncertainly, so, before the thought sinks in and dread creeps across her face, I have to eat this? Elsewhere, steaming brewing vats sit quietly before the scene shifts to a tall man standing inside a palace gate, hands in his pockets as he remarks calmly, it's been a while. An official hurries forward and bows deeply, greeting him with formal respect, greetings, your highness. The man's identity, Sangin, the title of an officer who is in charge of brewing alcohol under the Naishi division within the palace. Sangin then straightens with a weary smile and admits, it's not easy to see you, since you don't enjoy drinking. He gestures politely and leads the way as they approach a sealed door, saying, this way, please. The door opens to reveal a quiet storage chamber lined with shelves of brewing vessels, and the two men step inside together while an explanation appears. Most of the drinks brewed by the Saiyan office are used as medicine, or presented to national guests who visit the palace. However, the Saiyan office has a hidden purpose. The spell of Mangriang. The drink is brewed with rare third-grade teardrop, and it is sweet like the drinks of ancient hermits. Its spell is said to erase painful memories and help the drinker lead a peaceful life. And it is only given to those who were hurt by the fickle tricks of a dope KB. The drink erases the memories inflicted by the dope KB. Sagan taps the glass case lightly and explains solemnly, it's been 5 years since the previous queen. The only one who could brew the spell of Mangriang has passed away. Since no one can brew it, this will end up empty soon. You must finish away, your highness. The prince deduces, the spell of Mangriang is only given to those who were directly hurt by the manwha. Zhou Yuyan wasn't directly attacked by the manwha, so she shouldn't have been given the drink. The prince's fist tightens slightly as he quietly addresses the man, Sangin, who is in charge of distributing the spell of Mangriang. Sangin answers dutifully, well, the director of Chejongwon reports to the king and distributes it with his majesty's permission. Prince Gian asks with sharp curiosity, then, how effective is it? How much of one's memory can it erase? Sangin answers thoughtfully, that varies from person to person. Some only forget the moment they were harmed. Others forget many things related to the manwha. But their other memories stay intact. So, they don't encounter any problems in their lives. The prince finally pressed the true concern, is it possible to forget another person who is related to the manwha? Sangin considers the prince's question carefully and admits with cautious honesty, it could be possible, if they are closely related to the manwha. The prince asks, then, what about side effects? Sangin explains, until now, those who suffered from side effects fell into a deep sleep. But they usually wake up within 6 months. It doesn't cause anything serious. Sangin studies the prince's expression with mild curiosity and asks politely, why do you ask, your highness? The prince calls out, Mr. Li. The prince turns slightly as Chief Li answers respectfully, yes, your highness. Without hesitation, the prince gives a crisp order while a faint grin tugs at his lips, bring me the list. The prince adds with cool certainty, I'll check it myself. Chief Li adjusts his glasses sharply and explains calmly, His Majesty manages the list himself. The prince immediately pivots the conversation with cool precision and orders, then, find out where Park Hyerin was first hospitalized 13 years ago. Chief Li sighs internally at the incoming workload, more work, but answers obediently, yes, your highness. The prince pauses beside the sealed glass case and studies the pale bottle inside with a sharp glance, then gives another quiet command, and find out how those who drank the spell of Mangriang are doing afterward. Sangin hesitates, nervously as he admits, your highness. I actually have something to ask of you. Sangin reveals 2 sparkling stones cupped carefully in his hands and pleads, please hold a test to brew the spell of Mangriang during the audition. These are class 3 teardrops. We have nowhere near enough of the drink, since the last queen passed away. I heard your highness found someone with the sacred eye. We are desperate for her help. I do not know if the brewing will be successful since this person isn't the princess or queen, but we no longer have the leisure to wait. The prince simply replies, "All right." He takes the glowing teardrops from the Sangin's palm. He studies them thoughtfully and murmurs with quiet intrigue, "This will be an interesting test." Meanwhile, a somber memory surfaces. A dying woman warns faintly, "When I die, Prince Wujin may hold a grudge and attempt to threaten the seat of the crown princess. Do not be fooled like I was and find the true sacred eye. That is the only way to end this cycle of resentment." The king doesn't know anything. I didn't tell him anything. He just thinks that his poor younger brother ran away with a woman. This is my sin. Lady Siola orders firmly, "Bring all the fiancé letters of those who participated in the audition to my room." A maid asks curiously, "What about Miss Zhou Yuyan, who didn't participate?" Another attendant explains, "His Highness did personally ask for her fiancé letter." After a brief pause, Lady Siola concludes decisively, "His Highness doesn't act without reason. She may be the one with the true sacred eye." She then clarifies the situation. She was within the palace that day, so technically, she's not disqualified yet. Bring me her letter as well. The view glides over a cluster of city buildings before settling on a particular one. A 66 square meter apartment on the 4th floor of a villa. Inside, the cozy interior unfolds while the description continues. 2 rooms, a living room, a kitchen, and a bathroom. Standing in the living room and taking it all in, Yuyan woman thinks with quiet relief, and there's even a staircase to the rooftop. She imagines peaceful rooftop afternoons where she sits beside her recovering mother and thinks hopefully, "I'm sure my mother, who was disconnected from the world until now, can find some comfort on the rooftop." Still smiling to herself, she thinks warmly, "When my mother wakes up," but suddenly the door bursts open as a voice calls out urgently, "Zhou Yuyan." 2 friends stumble inside carrying boxes, panting and gasping, while announcing triumphantly, "We moved everything. You're buying us a meal." Yuyan blinks in surprise and apologizes quickly, "When did you move everything?" "I'm so sorry." The man waves it off cheerfully, "Oh, it's fine. I'll take care of this. This is why I work out," while the others react with impressed laughs. Stacks of boxes sit neatly piled near the door. Minju wipes sweat from her forehead and sighs, "Phew. That wasn't a lot of stuff, but it was tough to move everything without an elevator. So, you'll be living here from now on. Congratulations." Yuyan walks them toward the door gratefully saying, "Thanks, you really helped me out. I'll definitely buy dinner next time." Suddenly the guy bolts for the stairs while shouting, "I'm going to check out the rooftop." And Minju yells after him in panic, "Don't bring any of your cigarette smoke down here." The room falls quiet as the 2 women stand facing each other, the black-haired friend staring intently before stepping closer. She calls softly, "Yuyan." Then she turns toward her and leans in suspiciously, asking, "Are you still going to lie about that picture of the crown princess candidate?" Caught off guard, Yuyan awkwardly steps aside and admits sheepishly, "Fine. It was me." Her friend instantly beams with vindicated triumph and blurts out, "I knew it." While Yuyan quickly tries to downplay it with a nervous smile, but the articles exaggerated it too much. Yuyan rubs the back of her neck and confesses casually, "I did go to the audition, but I'm not going to become the princess." Her friend freezes for half a second before exploding into cartoonish fury, "Hey! How could you only tell me this now?" Yuyan stands there while her friend's rant continues like a relentless storm cloud, the words echoing around her with endless lectures, "You're not the one who gets to decide. If you're participating in the audition, you have a chance. If I were you, I would just jump on the prince." Yuyan drifts into a ridiculous romantic daydream where she and the prince pose beneath flowers and immediately shut the fantasy down herself with a flat expression, "That's not going to happen. Siola is the one who wants to be the princess. I'm just her sidekick." Minju instantly retaliates with rapid-fire scolding, "What's wrong with you being the princess?" While Yuyan yelps, "Ack! Ow! Ouch! Minju suddenly grabs her shoulders and stares hard into her face, starting with a suspicious hey. You're hiding something, aren't you? Yuyan swallows nervously. Her friend leans closer with an accusing glare and declares, you wouldn't volunteer to be the sidekick for no reason. Yuyan abruptly changes the subject. Hey, wanna eat black bean noodles? It's a tradition to have that on a moving day, right? Still slightly annoyed, Minju turns away and grumbles, complaining, you're so annoying. You keep too many secrets. Yuyan smiles awkwardly and admits gently, I'm just not sure yet, that's why. She then reassures her friend while guiding her toward the door with a turn, I'll tell you everything when I know for sure. Minju huffs dramatically and snaps back, whatever. I hate you. Left alone, Yuyan stares at her phone with a long stare, thinking firmly, I'm in no position to call him. What do I want to do with him anyway? And why won't Gian leave me alone? Her phone suddenly vibrates and she jolts in surprise, quickly answering as the conversation bursts into frantic messages. Someone panics through the call, I can't contact Siola, and she's not at home either. Do you know where she is? She has a meeting right now, but she's not here. She's not usually like this, but she's been depressed lately, and she hasn't been feeling well. I just don't know what to do. She steels herself and says quickly, I'll try to call her. Her phone screen lights up with a click as the contact appears and the call begins to ring. On the other end, Siola answers softly and Yuyan asks urgently, hello? Siola? Where are you? Siola's chilling response comes calmly through the phone, come and get me. The scene shifts to a dim gallery where Siola stands alone as grotesque shadowy creatures swirl around her, screech, giggle, shriek, slither, gurgle, while she quietly reveals her location with eerie calm, I'm in Gallery Yoa. Is this what you've been seeing your whole life? Yuyan stares down at her phone as a cold chill runs through her, processing Siola's eerie request before steeling herself and promising, wait for me. I'll come to get you, Siola. Meanwhile, in the haunted gallery, Siola stands surrounded by writhing shadows, her body trembling as ghostly figures coil around her with a shiver. Elsewhere in the palace office, the prince sits alone at a desk cluttered with documents as his fingers begin tapping impatiently, his mind clearly racing. His king father questions him, you experienced the sacred eye? Are you sure you saw a passive imaya? Prince Gian asks his king father, have you never experienced something like this? The king replies, how can someone see a passive imaya without the sacred eye? Perhaps you were mistaken. The prince analyzes the situation with sharp certainty, there was no smell, and it was powerless. I'm certain. It was a passive imaya. His thoughts drift back to the gallery moment where Yuyan stood beside him. Zhou Yuyan was next to me. Did that alone allow me to see the passive imaya? Suddenly someone calls out urgently, Your Highness. The prince looks startled as Chief Kim rushes in to report, Miss Zhou has arrived at the art gallery. And Miss Choi, why? Before he can finish, the prince explodes into motion and bolts past him, the aide questioning him in disbelief, are you just telling me that now? As they sprint down the hall. Chief Kim finally blurts out the crucial detail, Miss Choi Siola is there too. She arrived a while ago, but I was late to report that. At the gallery entrance, Yuyan's sneakers land on the floor with a cautious step as she moves through the eerie, smoke-filled hallway. She glances around nervously, her golden eyes widening as the oppressive atmosphere presses in. The air thickens with dark fog as she walks forward slowly. Finally she calls out into the gloom, Siola. Siola suddenly turns around, her body still quivering from fear as she snaps in exasperation, what took you so long? Then instantly abandons her composure and jumps straight into Yuyan's arms. Yuyan catches her as Siola clings tightly and asks gently, what happened? Siola buries her face against her and confesses shakily, I'm scared. I'm so scared. There are so many strange things here. They're all monsters, the monsters that you always talked about. Her words trail into frightened chatter while Yuyan scans the room with a careful glance, realizing uneasily, Siola doesn't have the sacred eye. Yuyan can see grotesque shadowy figures circling them like predators and she wonders grimly, so how can she see these things? She tightens her arms around Siola and reassures her softly while pulling her close with a hug, saying, "It's okay. I'm here now." Holding Siola upright, Yuyan steadies her and thinks quickly, I have to get her out of the gallery first. I'll ask her what happened later. Just then her golden eyes widen sharply as footsteps echo nearby with a quiet step. The prince strides down the corridor with authority, his shoes landing with deliberate step, and his gaze sharpens into a cold glare as he spots the scene ahead. Siola trembles violently in Yuyan's arms while Yuyan holds her tighter in a protective squeeze and greets him calmly despite the chaos with a respectful, "Your Highness." The prince quickly assesses the situation and says, "There are a lot of eyes here. I'll show you to the guest room. She can rest there until she calms down." Suddenly Siola panics and shoves Yuyan away with a desperate push, crying weakly, "No." Yuyan stumbles forward and collides into the prince with a soft bump. They freeze for a split second, standing far too close as their hearts hammer bottom, while his hand instinctively grips her arm, steadying her. After a moment he composes himself and turns away. Regaining control of the situation, the prince orders calmly, "Guide the guests to their room." As he walks ahead, Yuyan suddenly feels something collapse behind her and spins around in alarm. Siola has fainted. A doctor later explains gently, "She fainted, but she should wake up soon." Relieved, Yuyan bows her head slightly and replies with gratitude, "Thank you." The prince watches from his chair and asks calmly, "So, what happened?" She hesitates, unsure how to explain, and finally admits, "I'm not sure." She does get easily scared, but, as the prince presses the obvious conclusion, did she really see the manwha? Then, it's true, that she has the sacred eye? Yuyan shakes her head slightly and replies with quiet honesty, "It's no use even if you ask me. I'm not the one who experienced it." The prince lowers his gaze thoughtfully and murmurs, "I wonder why you seem so afraid to look at me?" While Yuyan's hand tightens at her side with a tense clench. Yuyan abruptly turns away and insists, "I'm not afraid. I'm just worried. I need to go to the bathroom." But before she can leave, the prince cuts her off with a firm halt and says coolly, "I'll let you run away this time. So just answer one question. Miss Zhou," and the question lands like a stone in still water, "do you really not have the sacred eye?" Yuyan freezes as her heart pounds bottom. The prince studies her silently, while Yuyan looks shaken, her heartbeat echoing as the tension thickens. She lowers her head, voice tight, and answers against her conscience, I don't know what the sacred eye is." Her body stiffens as she turns away, leaving the man seated behind her watching in silence. She bolts for the door in a sudden burst and slams it shut behind her. Water gushes violently from the faucet as she grips the sink, her thoughts spiraling. I don't know why Siola suddenly has that strange ability. But there's no place for me to interfere anymore. She splashes her face and stares at her reflection, drenched and trembling, confessing softly, "I want to live a normal, happy life." Her eyes waver as fragile hope creeps in. "I feel like I can finally be happy now. I don't want to lose my chance at normal happiness." The words hang heavy, "So please." Meanwhile, she leans over the sink, scrubbing her face again and again as if trying to wash away the anxiety clinging to her. From the doorway, she peeks in, hesitant only to freeze at the sight before her. Siola collapses into Prince Gian's chest, sobbing, crying out, "I was so scared." Siola shakes uncontrollably, rambling through tears. "There were monsters with red faces and beaks. How could you display those things out there? But I thought you've seen them your whole life. What are you going to do in the future if you're scared of them now?" She buries herself against him, admitting helplessly, "I'm so scared, Your Highness." In the doorway, Yuyan stands frozen, witnessing everything. She stares, stunned and hollow, while he continues holding Siola close. The distance between them becomes painfully literal as she asks, almost detached, "So? Are you fine with this?" Her chest tightens and her jaw locks as she tries to steady herself. Then, absurdly, she mutters under her breath, "Oh, my wisdom tooth," as if the sharp ache in her chest can be blamed on something else entirely. Now in the car, Siola, still tense but forcing composure, insisting, "I really saw them, I'm not lying." Yuyan asks, all of a sudden, and Siola answers with strained nonchalance, Yeah. All of a sudden. Do those monsters jump out of the paintings? Yuyan answers calmly, "Yeah, they jump out at you." Then reports, "Jakey was really worried about you. You should give him a call first." Immediately defensive, Siola slumps and snaps back, "Why? He can call me if he wants to," folding into herself with a quiet HMPH. She leans against the window, glancing over with a sly, almost smug smile and adds fuel to the fire. "Did you see His Highness just now? Prince Gian tried to comfort me and hugged me when I was crying." She giggles to herself. "I should have just slept at the palace tonight. He must have given me a lot of points, right?" Yuyan exhales utterly unimpressed, before dryly noting, "You seem to be in good spirits." Then she cuts through the nonsense, asking bluntly, "Anyway, are you sure you don't know anything? Maybe you touched something strange." At the mention of something strange, flashes in her mind like a cursed memory, and she flinches hard. Immediately panicking, she yells, "Geez, I said no." The car jerks to a harsh stop and moments later Siola bursts out, spotting the house and blurting in shock, "Mom is here? I heard that she was moving in. I guess that was today. Anyway, don't tell anyone about what happened today. 'Cause now, I have the same eyes as you do. So stop treating me like a kid, got it?" Yuyan replies back with a deadpan face, "Please grow up so I won't have to treat you like a kid." Annoyed, Siola asks, "Do you always have to have the last word? You're so annoying." Inside, a voice calls out, "Oh, Yuyan." She straightens and greets politely, "Ah. Hello, ma'am." A poised woman steps forward, introduced as Mangriang, her presence calm but commanding. Mangriang smiles and says, "You sure have changed, Yuyan. Let's see each other often, all right?" prompting a respectful bow in response, "Yes, ma'am." As Yuyan turns away, Mangriang clicks her tongue, annoys. Her thoughts sharpen, she's still here? Does she even know who did that to her parents? How naive. Guards stand rigid before an enormous vault door, the air suddenly vibrating as a low rumble rolls through the hall, dust drifting while the heavy mechanisms begin to stir ominously. A man steps forward and plants himself before the massive door and announces, "Your Highness. Prince Sohyun's artwork has arrived. I think you should take a look." Inside, an enormous, grotesque dragon-like form sprawls across the darkness. He turns his head slightly, expression sharpening against the swirling, eerie backdrop, and answers with quiet composure, "Right. Sorry to make you wait." Framed photographs of palace buildings hang all around the gallery while visitors wander through the exhibit. The prince strides down the corridor through the crowd as people hurriedly move aside for him. He pauses, tugging thoughtfully at his glove and remarks coolly to himself, "They're good, but they're not real." He approaches Li Tae arranging framed photographs and asks directly, "Did you paint them based off photos?" Li Tae nods simply, "Yes. I painted them using the photos that my father took." Prince Gian states dryly, "I'm sure you would want to exhibit Prince Wijan's photos." Li Tae quickly waves off the idea with embarrassment, saying, "Oh, not at all. I didn't even know that we were part of the royal family." The prince glances over the many frames around them and replies calmly, "You've got a lot here. I'll have to review all of them." Li Tae calls out urgently, "Let me call the doctor first. You're badly injured." Prince Gian dismisses the concern with a casual wave, replying flatly, whatever. I'm always like this. Li Te warns him gently, you shouldn't use the ma to vent your stress. You're hurting yourself, Your Highness. Without turning back, the prince gives a new order while turning away, it's fine. Request Choi Siola's help on the day of the audition. Li Te looks surprised and asks hesitantly, then, you believe what I said? He places a hand to his chest and admits awkwardly, I was worried that I wasn't being considerate of you. Prince Gian lets out a faint pft and chuckles dryly, ha. Considerate, before adding with a faint smirk, how arrogant of you. Let me ask you one thing. What did you talk about with Zhou Yuyin and Yang Pyong? Tae Li recalls their conversation and switches the stories. I asked her why she participated in the audition even though she doesn't have the sacred eye. But she didn't answer me. She said that it was none of my business. Then he adds thoughtfully, judging by her reaction, Choi Siola must have eaten the teardrop. Prince Gian grins, well, besides that. You said your mother has the sacred eye, right? I have some questions for her. Ask her to come to Korea. Li Tae's hand tightens into a tense clench as he replies reluctantly, I'm afraid I can't do that. My mother doesn't have good memories of Korea. She will not want to come here. Prince Gian simply responds, so? Do you think I care? The prince pats Li Tae's shoulder twice and remarks with thin patience, I can only excuse your disrespect so far. As he walks away, Li Tae stands frozen in shadow, his expression darkening. Prince Gian strides down the corridor with a purposeful step and calls, Mr. Zhang. The guard quickly answers, yes, Your Highness. Without slowing, the prince asks casually, are you free right now? Elsewhere in an office, Yuyin sits holding her cheek while her tooth throbs, throb, and she grumbles internally, my wisdom tooth is killing me, she sighs, thinking bitterly, why did I have to come in when I'm so busy? Then she instructs the team, make sure to work on the papers sent from above first. Review them for typos, then deliver them to the corresponding departments. Director Choi and Mr. Kim will go on this month's overseas business trip. Another colleague raises a hand and asks, about the inspection of our Chinese big partner in Tianjin. I was told to reserve the trip under your name, Ms. Zhou. What should I do? Yuyin immediately protests, I can't go because I have to assist the department head. You're going, Ganghoon. In the background the unlucky co-worker collapses into dramatic despair, God, screaming, I don't want to. While the office bursts into laughter, ha ha ha. Yuyin walks back with a tired sigh and reflects, Choi Jinul's wedding is coming up. I wonder if I'll be officially assigned after he gets married. To be honest, I don't care if I get fired. Her phone suddenly rings. She picks up the call, hello, I'm here to deliver furniture. The man adds awkwardly, but it seems like nobody is home. Yuyin panics instantly and apologizes quickly, I keep forgetting things these days since I'm so busy. I'm so sorry, sir. What furniture is this? The delivery man replies, a sofa. What should I do? I brought this up to the 4th floor. Are you not inside? I have to bring it inside and assemble it. Yuyin answers quickly, oh, you have to assemble it, too. Okay, hold on a moment. Just then another man raises a hand to take the phone and introduces himself calmly, Ms. Zhou. It's me, Royal Wing Jang Eun-ho. I can receive this for you, if you're all right with it. Yuyin begins giving instructions from the other end, oh, sure. My door code is, while the keypad chirps beep beep beep, and the matter of the delivery quietly gets handled. At the office, Yuyin drags herself down the corridor with a weary sigh, thinking, somehow that was taken care of. But why was Mr. Zhang in front of my house? Is Li Jian there too? A coworker suddenly taps her shoulder startling her, and asks with concern, Ms. Zhou, did something happen to the director? Did you hear anything? People are talking about him breaking off his engagement. Director Choi is getting married soon, but we're getting more work for some reason. His wedding is in September, right? But September is a complete mess. Yuyan laughs it off with a casual smile and replies lightly, "No, I haven't heard anything, but I'll double check." Even as she tries to brush it aside, the thought lingers and she wonders quietly, Ms. Kong moved back in because of his marriage. There's no way he's breaking it off. With work finally wrapping up, Yuyan looks toward the window and thinks with quiet relief, I'm almost done with work. I should go straight home. The evening sky burns orange over the apartment buildings as she climbs the stairs, her thoughts racing. I wonder if he's still there. She hurries up the stairwell, her anxiety spiraling as she questions herself, why am I so anxious? Am I worried that Mr. Jang might have taken something? Am I worried about the furniture? She bursts through the door only to find the room completely silent, and the tension drains into confusion as she mutters softly, no, before noticing a note resting on the table that simply reads, changed your password. Her heart begins pounding as she stares at her phone and hesitates. Finally she raises the phone and answers when the voice on the other end greets her, Ms. Zhou. Her golden eyes widen slightly as her heart keeps thudding and the confession from the other line confesses, I don't want this relationship with you to end. Clutching her phone with a nervous gulp and a racing heart, Yuyan hears his voice call her name, Zhou Yuyan. What's wrong? She turns toward the glowing sunset outside her apartment and hurriedly brushes it off, saying, nothing, I just wanted to thank you. From outside by the brick wall, he lets out a soft pft and replies casually, for accepting your sofa delivery? You don't need to thank me for that. Pressing the phone to her ear, she thinks with a strange flutter, my ear tickles, but still murmurs sincerely, still, thank you. Outside, leaning against the wall near the parked cars, he adds calmly, change your door code. A 4-digit password is too short. She nods awkwardly into the phone and answers, right. Her thoughts spiral as she grips the phone and wonders quietly, how did you know my address? Why did you come here? I thought you weren't interested in me anymore. He calls her again, Ms. Zhou. Have you eaten yet? She sighs and admits, my tooth hurts. I think I have to skip dinner today. He blinks in surprise and asks, your tooth? She confirms simply, yes. My wisdom tooth is growing in. He stifles a laugh while she protests in embarrassment, don't laugh. Smiling faintly, he murmurs thoughtfully, was it too obvious? She chuckles softly and replies warmly, even if I can't see you, I can tell you're trying not to laugh. He teases, that's cheating if you don't even need to see me. She blurts back, well, I'm very quick to catch on. His voice lowers as he admits what he really wants, but I want to see you. She presses the phone tighter and suddenly blurts out the question that has been gnawing at her heart, why do you like me? He stiffens, slightly caught off guard by the sudden sincerity. She continues honestly, because I'm your first love? Or because I remind you of your first love? He asks softly, do I really need to have a reason? I miss you for no reason. I get angry for no reason. I'm excited for no reason. And just like this, I want to visit you for no reason. Then he asks gently, so? Aren't you going to ask me about how I knew your address? She asks, can I ask that? He answers, that's the first thing you should have asked me. Clutching the phone with nervous honesty, Yuyan lowers her head and admits softly, I just thought that you would know. And I'm not uncomfortable with that. Suddenly the quiet apartment fills with distant barking, woof woof woof, and she pauses, startled, turning toward the balcony door. She hurries across the room and pulls the door open, leaning out into the warm sunset light, her golden eyes searching the courtyard below. Your Highness. Then, leaning against the brick wall with the glowing sky behind him, he adds casually, it's late. When are you going back? She tightens her grip on the railing and replies stubbornly, I'm going to sleep here tonight. I just feel like that right now. He asks on the phone, so, you plan to keep me standing here all night? She glances around and asks, where are you? He replies, why? I thought you didn't want to see me. Leaning over the balcony railing, she peers down and says with confusion, no, that's not. He let out a soft chuckle and said, not today. If I see you today, I don't think I can be gentle. She immediately flushes bright red while he adds calmly, make sure to lock your door. And don't forget. I know your password. Night settles over the city skyline, lights glittering under the moon, as the scene transitions to a large modern building where Siola observes curiously, you live in this big place by yourself? Inside the stylish apartment, red wine pours into a glass. Lite explains casually, I needed a studio. Siola glances around the expensive interior and remarks skeptically, isn't this neighborhood really expensive? And you're a pretty famous artist. You're rich, and you have most of what anyone would want. So, why would you stalk me? You're the stalker who kept sending me flowers and letters, right? Smirking as he raises 2 glasses of wine, Lite answers smoothly, why did you receive them? I sent them to Ms. Zhou Yuyan. Siola jolts in shock, shouting what? As he continues, she accompanies you to all your concerts, right? I sent them to Nuna, so I don't understand why you received them. He casually leans closer with a glass of wine and asks bluntly, did you eat it? After a tense pause on the couch, she finally answers reluctantly, yes. Her temper flares instantly as she shoots to her feet and demands, what was that thing? Then points accusingly and snaps, and just who are you? He stands calmly across the room and replies without hesitation, I'm the one who will make you the crown princess. Also, don't be so rude. What you ate was a teardrop. By the way, it's very rare. She grabs his sleeve suddenly and impatiently demands, do you have more? But he lifts his wine glass calmly and answers, sorry, but I have to risk my life to obtain a 4th-grade teardrop. She immediately offers without hesitation, I'll buy it. I have a lot of money. He smirks faintly and replies dryly, I would be the king right now if I could buy a 4th-grade teardrop with money. Also, there are some side effects. She flinches as the weight of that warning hits her, and he watches her reaction quietly while she sinks back down onto the couch, repeating uneasily, side effects. After a tense moment, she straightens and raises her head with determination, then asks boldly, how bad are they? Before declaring with stubborn resolve, I think I can handle it. Lite watches her with a sly, almost mischievous grin, practically echoing in the air. The first teardrop reveals a passive imaa to one's eye. The second awakens the smell of imaa. The third delivers the voice of the imaa. And when one takes the 4th teardrop, they awaken as an imaa. Lite casually steps away. Suddenly he reaches toward the stacked books on the table before blurting out her baffled frustration. What? Can't I eat more of them? He flips through the book and calmly shuts the book, and explains with quiet certainty that if you take the next teardrop, you'll begin to smell the imaa. Turning slightly, he tests her resolve with a measured question, do you still want to try? A new day, Yuyan, broods that he hasn't called since then. Her thoughts spiral further as she adds, and now it's already the day of the new edition. A sudden cry of warning cuts through the courtyard as someone shouts, oh, Yuyan. Be careful. But too late. Yuyan stares down blankly at her hand as blood drips steadily from a fresh cut. Across the yard, Mangriang calls out in alarm, you're bleeding. Get the first aid kit, but Yuyan calmly brushes it off with quiet stubbornness, replying, I'm fine, ma'am. I'll take care of it. Mangriang whirls around, clearly not buying that excuse, and snaps with sharp concern, fine? How can you work as a secretary when you can't even focus? Meanwhile, Yuyan awkwardly laughs the moment off with a casual ha-ha, flashing an easy peace sign, only for Junel to suddenly grab her wrist and demand, what happened? We're going to the hospital. This looks bad. While from an upstairs window a lone figure watches the scene unfold in silent observation. Yuyan protests, insisting with a weary "yeah, I can go to the hospital on my own." But before the situation escalates further, Miran approaches carrying supplies and calls out calmly, "Junul, your father can see you." "I'll help her, so leave." Junul hesitates but ultimately turns away reluctantly, saying, "You'd better go to the hospital. I'm going to check later." As he walks off, Miran lifts Yuyan's injured hand and studies it before quietly asking, "So, you must be Junul's lover that people were talking about?" Yuyan immediately denies it with calm honesty, saying, "No, it's not me." Miran softens, assuring her, "I'm not scolding you, but I did come back only so I could proudly watch my son getting married." "So, Yuyan, when will you leave this place? You're old enough now. You can't stay here forever." Yuyan reassures her, "Don't worry, I'm leaving soon." When Miran questions her intentions with, "Do I seem cold, trying to get you to leave like this?" Yuyan gently responds no, and Miran clarifies her sincerity, saying, "I'm saying this for your sake. You're starting to smell like one of the Choi family. Does it bother you if I say that?" Yuyan simply nods and the woman exhales in relief, saying, "Good, then you're still in your right mind." She continues with a thoughtful confession, explaining, "It's true that I left this family because of you. But it's not because I don't like you. In fact, I feel sorry for you. I'm saying this since you seem to have the wrong idea. I hope my words will encourage you to get your life back. I don't like fools, Yuyan. And I'm sorry about Siola. I know I raised her to be too selfish. I'll say just one more thing." She steps closer and gently pats Yuyan's shoulder, offering a final warning disguised as advice. "When someone seems kind to you for no reason, always think about what might be motivating them. Understand?" And Yuyan nods in quiet agreement, replying simply, "Yes." Moments later, help finally arrives as a suited man rushes to take Yuyan to the hospital. Yuyan examines the freshly bandaged hand wrapped in layers of gauze and sighs as she walks along the hospital terrace, reflecting wearily, "I ended up getting 6 stitches." She exhales another tired breath and admits to herself with mild disbelief, "I guess it was worse than I thought." Lost in thought, until she hears gossips murmuring, 13 years, right? How can life support last that long?" A nearby conversation catches her attention and she pauses, thinking uneasily, "Are they talking about Mom?" A stranger seated on a bench whisper that, "Well, I heard she's asleep, not brain dead," while another adds that the doctor said that she was getting the wrong medication. The gossip continues with clinical speculation as one voice insists she should be able to wake up if she falls asleep whenever she gets a shot. Another mutters suspiciously, "It seems so strange," before the conversation turns sharper with, "I heard that her daughter is fostered by the chairman of a big company," followed by a harsher judgment, "Maybe the daughter is just pretending to care for her. The life-sustaining treatment could just be a show, you know." Yuyan silently absorbs every word while gripping her injured hand as pain pulses through the stitches. The gossipers continue coldly, remarking that the treatment is expensive, but the daughter wants to be seen as a devoted child, and Yuyan quietly turns away from them, choosing not to confront the cruelty. On the bench, the whisperers suddenly realize what they might have done as one gasps, "Oh no," and another flinches in alarm, muttering uneasily, "I hope she didn't hear that." Meanwhile, Yuyan continues walking away across the terrace under the bright sky, silently acknowledging the painful truth to herself, "They're right." Her thoughts grow heavier as she passes the doors marked Intensive Care Unit, admitting inwardly, "I've only been thinking about myself. I should have noticed that something was strange a lot sooner. I should have paid more attention to Mom." A nurse approaches with a syringe and casually asks, "Isn't the weather nice today?" Yuyan glances over before politely interrupting with a hesitant, "Excuse me, could I view her treatment records? I'm her guardian, so I can request those, right?" In an office, the response comes instantly and firmly from the doctor, "No. We cannot give you the patient's treatment history. It's no use even if you bring these documents. It's not allowed, even with a royal order." Across the room, Chief Lee adjusts his glasses while speaking with measured confidence, explaining Ms. Zhou Yuyan already agreed to the provision of information. The doctor frowns and corrects him sharply with a small irritated tsk, saying Ms. Zhou is not Ms. Park Hyeon's guardian. Mr. Choi, our chairman, is in charge. Chief Lee exhales slowly and relents with a quiet if you say so, while the tension in the room lingers unresolved. Suddenly the door bursts open and a new figure steps in, declaring with firm confidence, "You leave me no choice, then." Leaning casually against the doorframe with a sly, dangerous grin, Prince Gian announces theatrically, "I'll be short and frank while I beg." Then he drops the bombshell introduction with absolute composure, "I am Prince Lee Gian." The doctor practically explodes out of his chair in disbelief, gasp. As Prince Gian leans forward across the desk, looming over him with a relaxed but intimidating presence. The doctor scrambles nervously fumbling with documents before stiffening his resolve and raising the file toward Prince Gian. Still sweating under pressure, the old man insists stubbornly, "You won't understand even if you look at this. I'm being very honest." Despite the doctor's refusal, Prince Gian simply turns with effortless swagger, flipping through the documents he has already secured and smiling lightly as he declares, "That's my decision to make." Walking out of the office with the papers in hand, he waves them casually like a trophy and remarks with playful arrogance, "Thank you for giving me this, even though I didn't beg." While they stride through the hospital corridor, the prince hands over the documents and orders calmly, "Send this to the royal doctor." Chief Lee studies the pages and warns thoughtfully, "This will take a while. A handwritten history in this day and age? Any part of it could be easily manipulated. It can't be trusted." The prince adjusts the brim of his cap and concludes, "That's why we need to be very thorough." Still moving through the corridor, he asks sharply, "What about the medical facility?" Chief Lee sighs and replies, "That's even more difficult." Then he explains the tangled system of records. The Brewing Council only keeps a record of the export of the spell of Mangriang. And the director of the medical facility records those who took the spell of Mangriang in a personal book. And the one who manages that record book is His Majesty the King. The prince exhales slowly, digesting the inconvenient truth before concluding with dry resignation, "So it's my father in the end." His thoughts narrow, the spell of Mangriang. In the Book of Exorcism, page 28 was the only record of it. We've tried everything to recover the pages that were lost during the war. But we couldn't find anything. He clenches his jaw, thinking grimly, "I need to find out why the spell of Mangriang causes side effects." But there's no way to find out. Returning to reality, Chief Lee reports quietly while they walk outside the hospital grounds, "Ms. Zhou's mother seems to be in a coma, due to the spell's side effects." If that turns out to be true, the royal family will have to take responsibility. Chief Lee notes one final complication, but there has been no case of the side effects lasting for more than 6 months. The prince answers with dry logic, "Obviously. Because nobody can remember after drinking it anyway." Just then, urgent voices erupt nearby as staff panic. "That director, the chairman wants you to return and you let her go by herself without a guardian?" Outside the hospital, tension erupts. The bodyguard stammers defensively, "Yes, Ms. Zhou wanted to go alone, only to be met with pure outrage as General snaps, 'Are you out of your mind?' The furious General whips around, his eyes blazing as Prince Gian demands, "What about Ms. Zhou?" Just then, the prince calmly lifts a hand to adjust the brim of his cap and cuts in with cool authority, "I'd like to know why she is here." The angry general stiffens in surprise as the unexpected voice interrupts his interrogation and reluctantly greets, "Greetings, Your Highness." The prince answers with casual indifference, "Yes, hello." Then he asks directly, wasting no time, "So, is Ms. Zhou hurt?" General's expression hardens as he pushes back with quiet hostility, declaring, "This is a family matter. You have no right to know, Your Highness." The prince simply challenged with a faint then remarks with relaxed confidence, "All right, I'll just ask her myself, then." And proceeds to take out his phone. General immediately blurts out in disbelief, "You call her personal phone?" The prince taps the screen and glances down lazily before responding with a dry jab. Are you interested in my private life? But, what a pity. You have no right to know. Before the call can go through, Jang Eun-ho rushes over to deliver an update. Ms. Jo went somewhere after she got treated. She received stitches. The prince freezes as the news settles in. He murmurs darkly, so she was hurt. Without another word he turns sharply and strides away, leaving the stunned group behind. A sign pointing toward the intensive care center, 500m looms ahead as Junil suddenly blocks and warns coldly, "This place is off limits, Your Highness." The prince keeps walking, barely acknowledging the obstacle as the man insists stubbornly, "Well, I'm not just anyone, after all." Chief Lee and Jang Eun-ho quickly step in to contain the confrontation, one reminding him sharply, "We'll have to stop you if you come any closer." Junil's jaw tightens with suppressed fury as he watches the prince continue walking away. Standing at the hospital counter, Yuyin tries to clarify the situation in confusion, asking, "What do you mean? I'm not my mother's guardian?" The staff member hesitates and replies uncertainly, "We're not sure either. We need the person's permission to view her medical records. But he said that you can't view the records because you're not her guardian." "I've told you this multiple times." Yuyin blurts out in disbelief, "But she's my mother. I'm her daughter. Why can't I see her records?" The nurse answers flatly, "It's the law. We can't just show them to anyone, even family members." "How many times do I have to tell you?" Yuyin's thoughts spiral back to the moment she trusted Director Choi, recalling bitterly, "But the director said that I should be listed as my mother's guardian. He said it should have been changed to me." The nurse shakes her head apologetically and explains, "I've checked multiple times, and I've told you over and over." Then she drops the devastating truth, "Your mother's legal guardian has never changed." The words hit like a physical blow as Yuyin lowers her head in stunned disbelief while the nurse quietly concludes, "It's always been the same." Dazed and unsteady, Yuyin walks stagger while the nurse gently suggests, "I think you should talk about this with her guardian." A dark realization unfolds ominously, Director Choi has been lying to me. I was willing to become a criminal for him. I even lied to the royal family. But he was using me. And the cruel conclusion settles in her chest, he lied to me. Her body reacts before her mind can steady itself as nausea rises and the pain in her injured hand pulses again. Her whole body begins to tremble while her bandaged hand tightens into a fist. Suddenly another hand gently nudges her clenched fist and carefully pries her fingers apart, slide, with calm, steady movements as a quiet voice tells her softly, "Relax your hand." Startled, Yuyin freezes as someone appears right behind her, standing close enough to steady her trembling body. The familiar voice speaks gently near her ear, reminding her with quiet concern, "You're hurt, Yuyin."